not a passion for you. Just like, I hate it. I'm just not too vocal about it.
It's just vomit, and it will be forgotten the moment it's over.
All right. Well, no longer talking about Wheel of Time. Good afternoon, folks. Here we're talking about adult animation, why cartoons make great therapy. This is Smudcast number 433. Holy boy, it's fun times the first week of December. What's going down? This is a Wisecrack video that came out this year in October. It's got about 200,000 views. It's 17 minutes long. It's going to talk about cartoons, I guess, of the West or Western production houses.
If cartoons are your therapy, you have real problems, and you should seek out a real therapist, or at the very least.
I'm not sure.
Finding good therapists is difficult, but then at least watch good therapists on YouTube, because they are there.
It depends on what they're referencing, because I'm sure there are lots of shows out there with all media that has some therapeutic value, but they're specifically talking about certain kinds of cartoons with adult content or adult themes or slice of life, and it's essentially just watching any other drama on TV for, I don't know, Women's Network crap or well, actually, no, that would actually be dramatic and romantic, or at least attempting to be soap opera-ish. This is like, oh, Steve is getting bullied at school again. No one's doing anything about it. How tragic. What's he going to do? And it just goes on and on.
He shoots a school. Oh, no.
No. That would be eye gouging. That would be, oh, boy. That's probably not something they'd want to do. But it's more or less those weird... I don't know if they're on HBO or Nickelodeon anymore, or Adult Swim. Those kind of more adult kind of stories. I haven't watched these. I don't know what they are, but I'm sure we'll get some names today to find out how they operate. Because I don't want to watch slice of life with anthropomorphic whatever creatures talking about mundane life things. I want, like, my guys to go to another dimension and fight vampiric wolves and magical slimes and magical dragons. I want that cool fantasy escapism. So that's kind of stuff I like listening and watching. But hey, real life things.
Yeah, less sort out online, more slayers, please.
Can you see the likes and dislikes, or?
I can't see dislikes. They've taken it away from me.
They're taking it away permanently? Yeah, because I can't see them anymore.
Yeah, apparently there's a plugin you can get that brings them back, but I don't know how long it's going to last.
Yeah, they're just hitting. They'll probably eventually remove the function entirely. That there won't be a dislike button at all.
Yeah, it's
always salami tactics. Slice by slice, you lose.
It's like a marketing thing. Like, you can only reply with positive energy. You can never say anything bad. It's like, really? The whole point of voicing your concerns or having freedom of speech is to say things that people disagree with. So the virtue of removing a dislike...
But the feelings of the people who make the crap, they're important.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, if you hurt the feelings, it's not constructive criticism anymore. It's a personal attack.
I heard that, was it Raging Golden Eagle? He was this YouTuber. He got his channel taken down for adult thumbnails or something like that. And all he was doing was taking the thumbnails from other videos or other content. And it wasn't even like R-rated. It was just like anime girls or this or that. It wasn't there's a lot worse anime girls I've seen on Twitter. So
there's a lot worse content on YouTube that is outright sexually explicit.
Yeah. So he got his channel taken down just this morning. So that was kind of strange. So we're going to see if that's going to come back. And it's pretty sad, you get these big YouTube channels take it down. Yeah, I hope so, because there's no reason.
The strange thing is really sexually decrepit channels like Weird Kids stuff. They don't get taken down.
Oh yeah,
right?
They're progressive. They talk about far-reaching
grooming children, telling children that they're gay and trans by an outright fetishist who's definitely
what a
not
wonderful
trans.
world we live in.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to hear the most conservatively old dude who's a professor talk about liberal arts or liberal studies in a very simplistic way that isn't suggestive. It's not fun. It's not exciting. It doesn't have all these animations. It doesn't have anime avatars. It's just a guy saying, hey, this is nice because it's freedom of speech and people are allowed to say what they want. And that's why I like it. And you're like, oh, yeah, okay. Not 20 minutes. And I think that if they were like both bi, and that would mean everyone could watch the show. Like, wait, what? No, we don't want every character to be bisexual in a story. That's ridiculous. Why would you ever do that?
How would you really identify with that if that's what it's about?
Well, I do recall.
How would someone, because that's by their logic, that you can only identify with things that you are, which is nonsense. That just means that there's no empathy involved in that, which decries narcissism. But if we go by that, how would a heterosexual person then be able to project him or herself onto someone bisexual?
Well, okay, but this was a video I remember we covered, I think last year, or was it this year, early on, that I commented on, and this guy actually replied to me, and there's other people replying to me. I think they still do. And it just got so sad that this guy actually thought this was a good idea, that everyone should be bi because it allows creators the opportunity to tell stories for everyone. It's like, that's not an argument.
I think that was this year. I think I was on for that.
Yeah, I know we had a lot of people on for that. That was a strange take. And one of the more sadder responses I've ever heard to have bisexual, because usually you hear about that argument from current BioWare games where it's like, oh, well, we want all of our players to have the opportunity for X, Y, and Z. And in some cases, it makes certain sense, like with Dragon Age 2.
Yeah, but that's for blank slate, make your own character. That's for the protagonist.
Right. The other ones are partially bi or somewhat, we're not questioning, or we're not sure. Some of them definitely aren't, but that's the idea. They wanted to appeal in this crazy pirate-like world that Dragon Age 2 was, where everyone's just sort of goofing around and having a fun time. It's like, all right, fine. Loose morals, everyone's weird, it's fine. It's magic, crazy
Isn't that what the demons want?
Demons just want your soul. They don't care.
Yeah, but they try to get it in different ways.
That's true, yeah. They seduce you however that works.
And sexual depravity is surely one of them.
For the desire demons, yes, for sure. Yeah. Anyway, let's get going. Here is Forget It, Jake. It's Vagina Town. Thanks for the one. Just because N-words be using cartoons as a form of therapy does not mean they are an effective use of therapy. If it were, I wouldn't be seeing Antifa rallies and land whales wearing Steven Universe shirts. Ooh. Well then.
Yeah, that comic is certainly not therapy. That's rather giving you problems.
Well, anyone who wants to be a vegan land whale, I mean, that's your lifestyle. Enjoy your food. Just don't enjoy it that much. Take a break. Step up from the kitchen table once in a while. Go for a walk. That's all I ask.
Becoming a vegan land whale is difficult. You have to know what to eat to actually stay fat that way.
It's amazing the amount of quantity of food you have to eat to be healthy, but it comes with everything, all the other carbohydrates. It's like, oh.
Well, if you just eat, if you add a lot of oils, then you can actually get fat with vegan food.
Oh. It's not
doesn't mean that you have energy.
Yeah, no, it's not a diet I recommend, but if that's your thing, you got to know what you're doing. You got to exercise anyway. You got to be careful with your calories. So it's probably healthier to go to McDonald's, honestly. Just buy a Big Mac every day. Anyway, okay, 17 minutes, Wisecrack. Let's do it.
Yay.
This video is brought to you by Magic Spoon. What's up, guys? Michael here. Given the general state of things in the live-action hellscape of 2021, it makes sense that a lot of us would look to the lighter, brighter world of animation for
stop.
However, it's
Stop it. This is Big Mouth. This is not a cartoon you watch for therapy. This is something that looks like it was made by a pedophile for pedophiles. How can you even remotely bring this up in this topic?
They're kids, right? Oh man,
this is one of the most disgusting cartoons that were ever made.
It always feels
not
like
in the sense of.
This is a bad start already.
Well,
and this is not in the sense of Ren and Stimpy, which was a critique of. There was cultural critique in Ren and Stimpy, and it was deliberately gross, but it was not sexually explicit for pubescents.
Why does it always feel that it's some American artist who's not that bad, he's not that great, he's got some failings, he doesn't know perspective or whatever. He goes, hey, I can do anime, and then he draws his own thing. I can do animation, yeah, sure. And they hire him. He's the lead animator, he's the lead keyframer or whatever. And all the cartoons look like crap. Like it's always like that. It doesn't matter the art style. It's always some shitty looking thing.
Look at this frame, for example. The left shoulder of the guy in the frame. Where is that attached? For this, the length of this length of the sleeve. It's like half an arm away.
It feels like they don't care about drawing, and they just sort of have this machine that they pump stuff into, and they have the voice acting carry the entire show and the jokes, as opposed to good animation and good storytelling.
Yeah.
To start off with this garbage that I would honestly not care if the reels of this were lost in a fire.
Mm-hmm.
This is the only reason to keep a copy of this in the archive, is to get it out for his cultural historical analysis of what went wrong in our era.
America, the decline of American media. Yeah, they used to be the superpower of all things entertainment back in the 60s and 70s, and then just
then all of a sudden you made pedophilic cartoons.
Remember Huey's?
It's part of it. Okay, here's JS. Thanks for the one. Big Mouth, is therapy in the same way Ludovico's technique from Clockwork Orange is therapy? Oh. Yeah, that's not pretty to look at either. Okay, let's try.
This show cured my depression.
Yes, I stopped watching it. Life could be this bad? Oh my god, now I know better.
Going through just as badly as we are. Whether they're suffering from addiction issues, coping with toxic familial relationships, or navigating systemic sexism, the cartoon character...
What the hell is systemic sexism?
You fucking wokest communists are the people who are systemically sexist. You are the problems, not everyone else. You're projecting.
What is... Okay, does anyone know what systemic... I know what the term refers to, but sexism?
It's a magical word. Systemic is a magical word the commies keep using to say that, oh, it's ingrained in everything, in the very systems we live in, that we cannot change. We try to change, but we just cannot change them. It's just how we are, and we have to fight against it, even though we cannot change it. But we are all guilty of it. It is original sin. It's like a Christian saying that we all commit sin all the time.
I think this reminds me...
And therefore we have to repent.
Because they used to say systematic racism, and then someone corrected them. Well, which systems? What are you talking about? There was two...
There's a difference between systematic and systemic.
Yeah, and it was too literal a word, so they cut off some letters and put down systemic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because systematic implies that it is... that the system is crafted and you can change the system. Systemic means that it's ingrained and ephemeral, and we have no power over it.
Yeah, so always attack the thing that can't be changed.
Yes, it is deliberately set up this way so that there will always be a problem that cannot be solved, that we have to keep solving while it cannot be solved.
Yeah, it's not the individual.
It's to gain power over other people.
Yeah, it's not the individual man called Steve. It's male as a whole. Like all the men. You're like, what are you talking about?
Yay, we're playing Marco Polo. It's great.
Anyway, so this is what I meant by Western animation, anthropomorphic characters in slice of life genre stories. Just like, yeah, okay, whatever. Hollywood, sure. Okay.
It's Hollywood because there's no D.
Yeah. Maybe that's part of the maybe
it's all so ugly.
Maybe it's a story. Yeah, it's all pastels, all these light colors. I don't like these things anyway.
And it's all flat, and it's all the characters these cartoons draw, the way they draw, it's all ugly. It's all repulsive. I don't get it why you would only keep making ugly things.
Compare this. I just watched this one show. It's been broadcast this season. It's called Jobless Reincarnation. Absolutely gorgeous animation. They sometimes switch up the entire intro and exit of the show. They just keep telling the story, just with visuals. Everything is There's lots of adult themes in there. What happens when your dad commits adultery and impregnates another woman? What happens? What do you do? Holy crap. That's pretty serious shit. What happens? It's really... What happens if all your family members suddenly get teleported and they're hundreds of miles away? What do you do? It's crazy stuff. Like all kinds of conflict. That, yes, it's a magical world. But, man, it goes, oh, geez, they just lost a family. Oh, my God, they just discovered they had a family. Now it's gone. Now my best friend is gone. All these, and that's just in the first few episodes. It's amazing stuff. Anyway, Western animation with horses. Yep, you do. Oh, Giga Chad. Hey, Giga Chad. Thanks for the one. This guy is talking about sexism and misogyny. Yep. Let's hedge our bets, boys and girl. Did he rape someone or did he rape someone? But he's right. Watching the Fairy Odd Parents, not the Fairly, but Fairy Odd Parents, cured my addiction to eating paint chips. Oh, I didn't know you had a problem with paint chips there, Giga Chad. Okay, good to know. I never watched those shows.
What are paint chips?
Pain chips, yeah. Like
paint chips?
Pain sticks.
What?
No, paint chips.
What, like wasabi crisps?
No, paint as in this thing you apply to walls to change the color.
Why do you have chips of paint?
Because if they're applied at a certain thickness, they break off, and you can still smell them, and they smell like whatever petroleum product they came from. They get you high.
Okay.
Yeah. Paint chips. Anyway,
never heard of that.
It's a common expression.
Then I'm not a painter.
But in America, people like to get high, so they find new and interesting ways. Either
glue.
Either that, or they have lots of oil. I don't know. Okay. Double Commando, thanks for the 2. If by adult animation you mean hentai, then yes. No, I don't mean that. No, that might actually be therapeutic for people. In your case, maybe, but not in general. No, some people would not. Well, that'd be funny if he brought that up. They'd be, oh yes, no. Porn.
Adult information just means mature stories. And mature does not mean big violence, big sex stuff. No, it's just like a well-written drama story.
Yeah. Not necessarily a soap opera, but it could be a soap opera. Usually that's too trite, silly, and melodramatic, but there could be drama in there that you appreciate. It happens a lot.
Or some Nick Cage non-action movie. It's not necessarily good, but it's kind of that direction.
That's
the thing where he's an angel and falls down to earth.
Okay, yeah.
Has this love story shit, and then he dies.
City of Angels, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, I you're talking about the 9/11 movie.
Yeah, but kind of that is what means adult story. Because kids don't get anything out of it.
Well, I would say Nick Cage nowadays has his own genre, so it's no longer like...
What do we call that?
Nick Cage. You call it watching Nick Cage. It's him doing whatever the hell he wants.
We're caging out?
It's the Cage genre, yeah. It's just whatever the hell.
Cage, oh yeah.
That's pretty therapeutic.
Mostly making the same open-mouthed expression.
I gotta kill all the robots in this funhouse. Yeah.
Use your
I watched this. There was this. He made a horror movie thing, double feature kind of. That Undoomed made me watch, and because he's a friend, I complied because I usually don't watch horror movies, but it was interesting.
Nick Cage is a gem. You just don't know what side of the gem you should be watching because it's all weird. It's like, is it polished?
It's very hit or miss.
Yeah, it's like, is it polished? No. Is it at least cut a certain way? Probably not, but it's gonna be a gem to watch. You'll have a good time.
Yeah, I think it was called Madeline or something. Forgot the name.
He did a movie called Madeline.
It's a double feature. The first one is some psycho horror thriller, and the second one is a slasher where he is the slasher. and it's the same. It's the same story.
Is that the one where he's the devil or something like that? He's some.
Oh no, he fights some evil cult that killed his wife.
Oh, I remember seeing the trailer for that. That was actually a cool looking trailer.
That is, it's absolutely insane. It's give it a watch.
Yeah.
I'd say give it a watch.
All right,
it doesn't necessarily make sense in every aspect, but Mandy, yes, Mandy.
Mandy, is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah, Mandy.
Awesome.
And I told Undoomed, I'm not going to watch a movie called Mandy because that is the name women get in the slum parts of the country in the dump families.
Oh.
You don't give this name to girls in Germany unless you come from some really dumb family.
Okay, well, I like.
Very sorry if you are not a better Mandy than that, because Kevin is also one of these names in Germany that when you know someone's called Kevin, it's likely it's an idiot. And there are exceptions always.
Kevin.
I don't know. It's really. There was when Home Alone came out. Every idiot called his newborn boy Kevin.
Why? Because of Home Alone?
Yes, because of Home Alone.
Wow, parents.
The name wasn't big in Germany. Then Home Alone came out, and suddenly everyone was called Kevin.
Kevin McAllister.
Wow.
Because the name in the name of the movie in Germany translated back is Kevin Alone at Home. So it's in the title. The name's in the title. That's why everyone remembers it.
That's pretty funny, actually.
Yeah. And yeah, there are, of course, Kevins that are not complete idiots, dumbasses, and assholes, but a lot of them are.
Okay, well, hopefully...
The same is true for Mandy.
Hopefully there are some nice Kevins out there that are having a wonderful life as a result of
yes,
Home Alone. Anyway...
they probably got bullied a lot as well.
Maybe they're watching this podcast.
Here is Roan Harushan. Roan, I don't know where you got this money, sir, but it's Christmas time, so thank you for the 50. That's a lot of cash.
Man.
Oh God, not Big Mouth. That show always have me nightmares and nausea. Also, Merry Christmas, Smud. Well, thank you very much, Roan. It's not quite Christmassy yet. It snowed last week. The panettone is being sold, but it's sold all year round anyway. I bought some anyway. It's always nice to get more. And it doesn't.
How many inches of snow?
It was at least 1 or 2. You could tell.
Oh.
But it only lasted the one day, and then it took like 2 days to melt. It's still kind of wet out there, and it's still kind of snowy, but it's not snowing. It's just snowy, you know. It doesn't feel like it. Of course, when you go out to a store, like I used to go downtown all the time, it would feel like, oh wow, there's Christmas carols, there's caroling outside. You got people like getting out of your way, holding doors open, like really nice atmosphere. And it's still all it is just crazy Costco as always. It's just busy. Everyone's just buying and stepping over each other, and so it doesn't feel like Christmas. At least not yet. Maybe I have to go walk around some more, talk to some neighbors, see how they're doing. So I don't know how it is with you guys, but I'm going to be missing the Christmas market again this year, even though they're having it. A lot of really nice places or really nice stores, rather, vendors that should have been there aren't going there. So it's not the same. It doesn't feel the same. I'm going to try to, but they have admission now. It's like, okay, whatever. I'll check it out. I really miss Christmas markets. Those are the highlights of December for me. Anyway.
I hated going to Christmas markets.
Oh, come on. You're the German. You should be like, Christmas markets are the bomb. They're the best.
Yeah, but I'm also autistic and I hate the noises, too many people, all the blinking lights everywhere. It's just giving me migraines.
Don't they give you free cookies and drinks and stuff?
No.
Really?
Why would they?
Wow, that sucks.
Why would they give me free cookies and drinks?
They want you to buy their products. So if I like Jack Daniels, they'll give me a free shot. Or
if they did that, I wouldn't make money. Then people would just go from stall to stall to get free
That's
shit.
what I do. I had like 7 shots from different vendors. It was amazing.
Oh, so you have the nice. Also, okay, so you still have nice Christmas markets.
I love
Here in
the
Germany.
Christmas market.
There's what do you call it? Do you call it spiced wine or mulled wine?
Mulled wine. Mulled wine.
Mulled wine. The warm stuff with the spices in it. Yeah.
There's a name for it. You got it.
Okay. We call it Glühwein.
Glühwein.
So
You got it. Yeah.
Glowing wine.
Yeah. It's okay.
Because it's glowing like the embers, like it's warm. And Glühwein merchants in Germany, essentially, when they get a good spot, and they, of course, through corruption, always get the best spots. They get the same good spots. They essentially only work for their Christmas stall at Christmas. Because they make $500,000.
Whoa.
Or even more. And it's really a money printer. They don't work the rest of the year.
Well, that sounds familiar because I have distributors for Italian imports. I know the guy. He would only open up in November and January, but he would sell only to restaurants and Christmas because that's when people would come out and buy all kinds of cheeses and salami and cookies. Like there's all kinds of chocolates from Belgium and Switzerland and all these imports. You wouldn't get anywhere else. He was really cheap too. He's still up there. As of 2020, he had to open all year round and just sell to everyone just to stay afloat. So business has changed. His lifestyle has changed, of course, but that's what he does. He imports and he gets amazing deals. So if I want to get certain kinds of ham from Spain or cheese from Italy, he's the guy to go to. But he had to do it all year round. So the inventory is different. And all the restaurants that used to, like, they needed his product. Obviously, no one's going to restaurants as much. If not, they're closed or dead. So he has to sell directly to the people, which is kind of sad because now it's no longer a niche. Like, it's no longer a secret. You have to advertise. So now everyone else knows. You have to expand his warehouse. So he's actually doing okay. But it's no longer like, hey, I know a guy who knows a guy. Do the real provolone from northern Italy, or smoked cheese, or Gorgonzola fresh, or whatever. It's okay. So anyway, one more super chat, and we'll keep on going. Noble Commando, thank you for the 5. You can write a mature story for children and an immature story for adults. Just look at Avatar: The Last Airbender and High Guardian Spice. Now that is a big contrast.
Oh, but yeah, you're right.
I don't think I would ever compare those two things together in a form of, hey, maturity, immaturity for both different audiences. It's a very strange way of comparing your audience.
Yeah, but I think it's good examples chosen because High Guardian Spice was not made for children.
Right. And Avatar is more of a family-oriented show, I would say.
Yeah, but the main audience is kids, and for that, it is for a Western cartoon,
right?
Surprisingly mature.
That's what I mean. It's more mature than your average cartoon for kids. So
it stays grounded for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, it has action adventure. It's got the mysticism element. So yeah, it's for kids, but it's about war. It's about power and tradition and all this other stuff. So at least the first Avatar. Second one, I'm not sure what that's all about exactly. So that's a. I think we use Avatar as the best example for Western animation, at least recent examples.
It is. Yeah, it is. One of the best Western cartoon products of recent decades.
Yeah,
and that says a lot. It's not a perfect thing, but it's pretty good.
Right. And it does inspire.
I wish more would go in that direction.
It does get inspiration from Eastern animation and Eastern culture, so it's like, all right, that's good. This is a Western spin on stuff. All right, let's keep going.
Characters in our recent adult animation shows seem to be dealing with just about every dark subject under the sun. So, with the boundless possibilities which animation offers, why are we gravitating towards characters who are working through real-life traumatic experience?
God, this is
and in
disgusting
doing
to look
so,
at.
have we actually found a way to use adult animation as a kind of therapy? Let's talk about it in this Wisecrack edition on why adult animation feels like therapy.
Oh, that is
Spoilers ahead
sitting
for-
way too close.
Yeah, I don't think we consider, like what he showed in that little clip there of was it Archer and a bunch of other. I don't consider Archer therapy. I mean, comedy could be therapeutic for sure, but I wouldn't say, "Oh, I'm so depressed. Let me watch some Archer." It's like,
And in therapy, at least keep like 1 seat distance between patient and therapist, because the patient needs some distance, some personal space.
yeah.
Like, damn.
Okay.
But
So
yeah.
I don't know what spoilers are ahead because I don't watch any of these shows. Maybe I watched the first season of Archer, but the rest I have no idea.
Yeah, I watched Rick and Morty until I think 3rd season, and then it just got too dumb and uninteresting to keep continuing, which is very sad because it had a good start in the first season. And just there's some jokes in the first episode that I felt like this is unnecessary and too much potty humor.
Oh,
That just kills it for me oftentimes.
okay.
Like if that's the only thing that makes you laugh, like you're stuck at like, I don't know, 5 years or something.
Just joking.
Thanks, Eric.
I know.
Okay. 1 minute in. Let's go.
A bunch of sad cartoon people / animals. But before we get into it,
Oh, no.
I'm going to take a quick break. To enjoy a bowl.
Here's
Okay,
the
so
ad.
Magic Spoon.
Look at these disgusting box art.
Has anyone tried
What is
this?
Magic Spoon?
I don't know. I don't really care.
This ugly ass corporate style.
Yeah, we'll just skip this.
Who
Grain-free
likes
cereal.
this?
Kids?
What
I don't know.
what happened to you, America? That this is your this is the art style that is now associated with America. America, do you want to Americans, do you want to think of the rest of the world of associating this art style with you? That this is representative for America?
Yes.
Because that's the state of the what how do you say this? State of the times?
A sign of the times. Style. Fashion. Trends.
Yeah, get up, dear Americans, get up, get into education, so that there's a counter to the get into animation, get into education, so that there's a counter push against all this crap.
Honestly, just
Otherwise, it won't happen.
just spend money or donate money or buy out Sunrise or any of those animation studios in Japan. Say, hey, Japan, here's a boatload of money. Make us some shit. You have full reign to do whatever you want.
Oh, here's something. All the people who are looking for jobs become teachers, because, at least from my experience here in Germany, you don't actually need to know anything about the bloody topic that you're talking about. So become a teacher. You're probably better than the propagandists who ruin all the children.
Yes. Wow.
Okay.
This is how you can give back to society in the same go. It's the perfect solution. Do
Okay.
it.
Anyway.
Take responsibility. Do the lobster thing.
Yeah, just don't go to like northern South Korea and teach English or anything like that. That's not.
Yeah, those are the people you are supposed to push out by being better than them.
Okay. That's
So
good.
that he needs to go back to North and South Korea.
He'll be happier there, I bet.
Yeah.
Okay.
An adult animation, we need to take a look at its past. Contrary to popular knowledge, early animation was pretty adulty, featuring raunchy, boozy, and sometimes straight-up terrifying content. Note, we cover this extensively in our Origins of Adult Animation video, so be sure to check it out. With the rising number of American households with TVs, animation began to be specifically marketed towards kids, with the occasional family-friendly exception like the Flintstones. Of course, Fred and his prehistoric pals were rarely dealing with anything quite as heavy as today's characters. Well, except for that episode about infertility, which was over my childhood head.
We're so anxious to have a baby, we take it out on Fred and Wilma.
The show was mostly just about a simple fella who liked to eat, bowl, and convert animals into household appliances.
It's a living.
A true everyman. What's more, the Flintstones is basically just an animated take
Stop
on
doing that on
domestic
purpose.
shows.
I just wanted to say, Fred is not doing that on purpose. It's just a technology of his world.
Yeah, that was kind of like the same
prehistoric times. Yeah.
Yeah, this
so the joke doesn't work.
Yeah,
it's all.
This was on, and then right after came the Jetsons, which is just a future versions of
the Flintstones.
Of the Flintstones, yeah, it's the same idea.
There was a crossover. There was a crossover movie where the Jetsons meet the Flintstones.
Oh,
I don't remember anything about it.
I don't even know how the universe is combined. I can't even remember.
Well, here's a great little comment from Tom the Cat. Thanks, Tom. I would not like to be associated with most modern art styles. Thank you for asking. That's my opinion as well. I think there's a lot of...
wouldn't want...
Well, maybe not modern art styles, but modern animation studios. Like, you're like, okay, I don't want to be associated with what Netflix is doing, with He-Man. I don't mind the Castlevania guys. They look at least, relatively good. They're not amazing by any stretch, but they do a very...
Well, the characters are drawn better, but the animation...
Yeah, they're drawn well.
Atrocious.
It's a quality product. It could be a lot better. It's fine. They did a demo for... Was it He-Man? I can't remember what it was for. No, it was for Marvel, and it got rejected. I was like, what? It was amazing. So, anyway.
Was it not woke?
That's a good question. I don't know who rejected it on Marvel's side. But the pitch was pretty cool. So...
Amy Pascal.
Yeah, but I understand Tom the Cat here. I would not want to be associated with that kind of art style either.
Yeah.
There's other things about German culture that I think this is stupid. Why do you keep associating me with that?
I think anyone would like to be associated with pretzels or pretzel buns or...
Those are not called pretzel buns. They're lye rolls.
Or rye bread, like any kind of baked good. I'm like, yeah, that's me.
Lye, not rye.
Rye, it's rye bread.
Lye.
No.
L-Y.
No, I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm saying the other product.
They're not pretzels.
No,
pretzels are pretzels are specifically the weirdly shaped things.
Yes, that is one thing.
The dough it's made from is lye.
Great.
There are different things. There are different products you can bake from lye.
Yeah, I agree.
And a lye roll is not a pretzel. A pretzel is not a lye roll.
Yeah, we're talking about two different things.
Pretzel is a pretzel.
Yes, and then there is rye bread, which I also enjoy. So
it is what we call Laugengebäck, and a brezel is a form of a very specific form due to its shape of Laugengebäck. If you make what you call buns, for example, or the rolls in some places, those are Brötchen, or Schrippen, or Wecken, depending on where in the country you are. They have different names. The general one is the High German one is Brötchen, and that would be a lye roll. It's not a pretzel. A brezel is the thing that has the knot in it with the long thing that is knotted together.
Well, apparently, someone in the chat thinks that when they think of Germany, they think of quality pistols and rifles, but not HK. I don't know.
The thing is, I think we are mainly exporting that and not actually benefiting from being armed like the Americans are.
Okay, well, everyone has memories.
That's why there's no free. It's one reason why there's no free speech in Germany, and the government is not afraid of us.
Everyone has memories of food and drink from certain countries, music, festivals, handguns, apparently. So everyone has their own preferences and knowledge of countries. I certainly don't know what the hell Canada does for firearms, if that's even legal in Canada to make firearms. So
I love pizza from Salentino.
There you go. Pizza.
That is. Pizza from Salentino is wonderful.
There you go. Okay. Tom the Cat, another thank you, sir, for the 5. Oh my God, I've never seen the member thing before. That was hysterical. Yeah, anyone who's signs up for that gets a crazy little. Well, you heard it. The people heard it. The guys on the panel didn't, but that's why I stopped the video. Anyway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just like some guy screaming. It's a meme. Don't worry.
Okay, because when I catch up with streams I wasn't on, but where the topic interests me, and I suddenly hear, like before when I was just in the audience, I hear all these notification sounds again. I'm just concentrating. What are they saying? I can't understand anything. Stop the stupid sounds. I want to understand what's going on.
Yeah, I know. I got to tone them down a bit, but we take our time, so we're okay. We don't overtalk as we used to. All right, 3 minutes, 30 seconds. Let's go.
The honeymooners. And even when The Simpsons arrived to shake things up almost 30 years later, this was still the template they were working from. And not that The Simpsons never got dark.
Like my loafers, former gophers. It was that, skin my chauffeurs, but a Greyhound tuxedo would be best.
The third episode has Homer on the verge of killing himself after all.
That's just a Disney movie plot, essentially. Yeah. That is 101 Dalmatians. Yeah. And when The Simpsons go dark, or anyway, in the old seasons, they were still intelligent with that. All the stuff you have today that you call mature is not intelligent.
Yeah, they were pretty much the first animation or cartoon to do that. And now, like, people would say Simpsons was dead after the 4th season or after the 8th season or whatever.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah, it's all different, and it comes back. It gets really good, then it gets worse, and it just crap again. Like it's kind of like become Saturday Night Live, where Saturday Night Live was fun in the 70s or whenever it started, and then it just sucked constantly.
Yeah, the thing is with The Simpsons is it was initially counterculture because it went against the standard formula of all sitcoms have to be nice. And the epitome of what American families should be instead of what they are. And George Bush Sr., I think it was him, even ranted against The Simpsons openly as a threat to American society.
Yeah, you're right.
And the thing is now the stuff that So The Simpsons today are not The Simpsons of back then. The Simpsons back then were intelligent and the characters have had depth. Now it's almost indistinguishable from Family Guy. And all the stuff now, they think they are counterculture, but they are the status quo. All this bullshit. The Big Mouth, the South Park, and I'm sorry to lump these together but in this moment, South Park still has more intelligence to it than any of these other shows. They're just I have to exclude South Park again. I'm sorry, but things like that lead to Big Mouth. That's just depraved, disgusting shit, and it's not counterculture. It is the status quo. So, in order to make a counterculture product right now, you would have to make a wholesome family show with intelligent drama. You would have to make the Cosby Show again, for example. That would be counterculture now. And that is, I don't know if that is ironic or really, really sad.
I haven't seen any primetime family 90s shows in a while. I don't know if they make them anymore. And
I don't know of any.
They're out there. I mean, we still have stuff like that. I just don't know any of that are popular or last for more than a season. So it's tough to say.
I think they die with TV because the on-demand on-demand watching destroys a lot. It's how because that's the one positive that this very constrained format of TV channels that have a predetermined program have. They give us shows that we otherwise would miss that they even exist. They show us old movies that we otherwise would never hear about.
Like, I'm trying to think of a show I really like. It wasn't an animation, but it was comedic, but it was also like odd because it was a POW. It was called Hogan's Heroes, and this is really, I think it was the 60s or 70s, but it's basically American POWs in a German camp of some sort.
POW camp.
But all the Germans are incompetent, and all the Americans.
A little bit. The two main German characters, Colonel Klink and Sergeant Schultz, They were two different kinds of incompetent.
Yeah, it's pretty hilarious because it's not anything dirty or
Schultz
anything.
was the big, nice, fat guy who was fraternizing all the time with the POWs, and Colonel Klink was this stuck-up ideologue because of that's what you do to be proper. He was a very proper guy,
and it was one of those things where you're like, how did they even get that on the air? And it was so good. You're like, oh, this is fantastic comedy. And
there were two versions of it. The first season. The first was played straight, and it didn't get good ratings. And then they redubbed the entire thing into comedy, and that's where it took off like a plane.
Right.
And yes, John Reddick in the chat. The German title is Ein Käfig voller Helden, which translates back into English as A Cage Full of Heroes.
But can you imagine?
Which I find even better title.
Can you imagine that being made today? Like, it just wouldn't happen. There's no way.
No, it wouldn't.
You could not make a joke about Nazis. It just wouldn't happen.
Yeah. Also, at the same time, that was the kind of diversity that they are constantly asking for today. in the I don't know when it was made. You say 60s? Because you had the POWs. There were Hogan. He was the American leader guy, and then they had the other imprisoned guys in his group. They were from all around. You had the guy from the French Resistance. You had the Frenchie. You had, I don't know if they had I think they had a Polish guy. They had a black guy, and I don't remember. Like they had someone from every party who was somehow participating in the war, and but they were not tokens. They all had their own characters and their own competences and their own flaws. They were actual characters, because that is what you need to actually play off a long-running series that basically only has the same 3 sets it has. Inside the barracks, outside the barracks, and inside Klink's office. You pull that off today.
No, it can't be done because people will freak out. Like, you can't tell a story with Nazis. Like, what are you talking about? You can't. A comedy that will never fly. What are you talking? Yeah, I would love to see.
Because you know what the real problem is with that show. What it would be today. Because it humanizes the Nazis. By playing them off as a bit bumbling fools, they become likable.
They were, I wouldn't say neutered, but I would say that they were, it took the edge off. Like, oh, they're just a bunch of people that are part of this.
Yeah, especially Schultz, especially Sergeant Schultz. You can't be mad at that guy.
Yeah, he's kind of bumbling fool, yeah. But yeah, that's a show that, like, with MASH and stuff like that, like Americans and War, and it sort of gave that lighthearted look. But then MASH in the later seasons got serious. So it went from a comedy to this serious telling it, oh my God, yeah, we're in war here. This isn't pretty. This isn't funny anymore. Mm-hmm. So there's shows that do that. They change their stripes a bit. And same with Simpsons as it continuously amalgamates whatever is trying to do these days. I don't even watch it anymore. I have no idea what it's trying to be good at or identify with. Mm-hmm. That it's just become this thing of the yesteryear that we've said, yep, that used to be a thing, but we don't care anymore. Like I don't care. Personally, I knew friends who've loved it since college. Like they were fans of Simpsons for 10 years, and they said, "Yeah, it's enough. It's too much."
Yeah, and because I don't know if anyone from the original team is even still there. There is a good documentary about the Simpsons. It's called "The Zombification of the Simpsons," I believe, and it also compares the original humor of the Simpsons, the intelligent humor, and today's humor, how it works, and what is actually missing. Because the key elements that made the original Simpsons humor, they're just missing. That's why Homer is now just a bumbling fool instead of an actual character with feelings and depth.
I do remember the Halloween specials were a bit more important, a bit bigger. They put a lot of time and money and effort into doing those.
There were events.
Yeah,
There were events.
That was like, oh, you're going to stay overnight and watch The Simpsons? Of course I'm going to stay overnight. Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, they did Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven. And it's and they played it straight.
Yeah, no, it was
a purely cultural thing.
They did.
It's not a horror story that they made out of it or a comedy piece. They just made their own adaptation, played straight, of The Raven. They have 1 or 2 visual jokes in that, with Lenore being Marge, and the painting on the wall is just really high because of the hair, and then has this other little portrait attached next to it at the top, where the hair goes a bit to the right, so that it's still still painted.
They had
that's one of the only jokes in that, I believe.
Yeah,
and it's a visual one.
They played around with animation. They did 3D stuff. They did all kinds of. I mean, they must have been getting bored that they were on the air for so long. Let's do something different, and that was their attempt to branch out and do stuff. Like, we could talk about what's that crazy Warner Brothers show with Yakko, Wacko, and Dot, the Animaniacs.
The Animaniacs.
Like, that was.
Was great.
I wouldn't say more mature, but more honest. They were just like, hey.
And it was a lot of side jabs at Hollywood itself.
Yeah, with
a lot of the jokes were in jokes for Hollywood.
Yeah, with Freakazoid, very similar production.
Oh, I loved Freakazoid.
Yeah, like they weren't scared. They were there. They were there to crack jokes and poke fun at either the Warner Brothers in general, or Hollywood, as you said. So
yeah, they made fun of the standard tropes.
Yeah, which is great.
That was an earlier version of subversive humor, but the correct kind, by which I mean the kind that works, the way that it's done right, to be funny and without politics. There was a reboot or remake of the Animaniacs, and it is abominable, cringeworthy propagandist crap. It is unbearable, and it is not funny.
I never got around to watching. I did see some clips on Twitter.
Johan made me watch the first episode of it, and it was really unbearable. It was horrible.
All right, here is Chad, Arizona Ranger. Oh, geez, I'm thinking of Fallout. Thanks for the one. Goes to the town of Agua Fria. Shoots tax evaders, refuses to elaborate, leaves. Chad, Arizona Ranger. Is that the song you're making a joke about? Arizona Ranger? I don't know. Anyway.
I have no idea.
Chad, if you could tell us what that was about, please do so in the comments, because it sounds like I should be singing a song with you, and you're changing the lyrics on me, and I'm a bit lost. Anyway.
Singing a song with Smart.
Yeah, that won't happen, but I'll try if I have to. Arizona Ranger is a great song from Fallout. All right, here's Giga Chad. So we went from Chad, Arizona Ranger to Giga Chad. Thank you, Giga Chad. The problem with the way new media handles Nazis is that they're lame Trump stand-ins. Okay.
You could say so, yeah.
Yeah, that's a weird way of putting it, but okay. I never laughed once at Jojo Rabbit, and I was never once intimidated by them in X-Hunters. I cackled at the producers, and my skin crawled at Ralph Fiennes in Schindler's. Oh, I see what you did there. Okay. Yeah, well, you have to be mature about these things, first off. And as soon as you have anything with Jojo Rabbit, with Nazis, that's not a comedy, like it's not like a farce, it's done seriously, you're going to get a lot of people complaining. It's like, oh, you're doing World War II.
It takes effort to do these things right, and if you don't, then you'll just hit a lot of the wrong buttons.
And you think that we'd be, mature enough after all this time to talk about World War II and Germany and Nazis, and we've had video games and media of all kinds.
Yeah. I mean, if you do it as overblown as Wolfenstein, or as what was it, Sucker Punch with the zombie robot Nazis, you get away with it because that is so overblown that it's funny in its own way. Okay, but you can't do this forever. If you want to do it in a witty manner while being comedic, Iron Sky is the right way to go.
Wow.
Because that is yes, I'm serious. Because the movie takes itself seriously.
It is
the characters in the world take themselves seriously, and the Nazis also take themselves seriously. It's played straight. It's all played straight.
Would you call that an over-the-top spoof? Like, what would you call Iron Sky exactly?
Oh god, to describe that properly, I would need a while.
Yeah.
The thing is, it is how you do straight satire properly.
Yeah, it's so over the top. You're like, okay, yeah, I get what they're doing. So you accept the fact that it's a spoofy, goofy, comic booky thing. And
but it's not stupid, immature humor.
Yeah, exactly. So they have a moon base. Like, moon base? That's ridiculous, right? But it's like, okay,
and they have the crazy scientist who manages to reverse engineer or something the USB connector. Like, that is funny. But what makes it more funny is that everyone plays it straight. There are no fourth wall breaking jokes. There's nothing of what the stupid cartoons do all the time where they don't take themselves seriously.
This is what happens when you have spoofs or parodies that are not meant to be big giant jokes like Naked Gun, but you know it's still a spoof. So it's like, all right, I could, moon base with Nazis. Yeah, okay, sure, go with it.
Yeah, and this is also how you get the messages in the movie that are gotten across are also done really well. Like where I forgot her name, the female protagonist, the Nazi girl who takes, I think, the black guy into the cinema to watch the great movie by Charlie Chaplin that praises the Führer because she only knows a censored version that is like 10 minutes long. And she comes out of it like 2 hours later, having seen the full version for the first time, and she is completely shocked because she only knew the censored version and didn't know it was censored. Now she's seen the full version of it, and that's how she can't deny that it's been doctored or anything. Her world is now shattered, and she's learned so many new things about her own ideology, her own worldview, that it was actually false. And that is how you how you do this stuff the right way. How you show that censorship is bad, any kind of censorship, because you don't know whether the people who are censoring you are actually lying to you and just want you to think a certain way and think that they are the good guys when they are in fact not. It's usually that exact way when they want to censor something from you.
All right. Well, here's Turmoil. I don't know if this is a good super chat or not, but Wisp is Romper Stomper from the South Park episode. Oh.
I don't know who that is.
I hope you mean the South Park episode, not the actual Russell Crowe thing.
I have no idea.
Yeah, let's go with the animated one, okay? Anyway, let's just keep on going, shall we?
The time you rest, I will be in my watery grave.
But the show was more interested in the little flaws and foibles of lower middle class life in America than the depths of human suffering. And no matter how somber the subject matter of any given episode might be, it still functioned in that classic sitcom mold. You were guaranteed that everything would be wrapped up neatly before the end credits rolled. Well, almost always.
Come on, say something conclusive!
I'm afraid this is a very open-ended problem.
The success of The Simpsons spawned a whole wave of animated shows designed to appeal to an older audience, with the likes of South Park and Family Guy making it explicitly clear that they were not for children. And I do mean explicitly.
Peaches! Peaches, I'm sorry.
Damn it! You could have at least least given me some warning.
But while these shows were comfortable wading into darker waters than The Simpsons, with whole episodes dedicated to topics like sexual harassment, child abuse, and racism, they largely did so in the name of subversion and satire. This was
No, not subversion. Not subversion, you bloody idiot. South Park was doing it intelligently by showing it in the most blatant fashion possible. The very same way that they make fun of your stupid ideology now, which you hate. Because South Park hits against everyone. And that's how you do social criticism, if you will, how you do it right.
Yeah, it's obviously very crude and blatant, but it doesn't care who it hits. It just goes after anyone. So it's kind of cool that way.
Also, there's a typo there on receiving workstation. No, it's not. I'm being dumb. It's late.
Is it RECEI or IE? Receive.
Yeah, I think should it be EI? I think it should be EI.
It should be EI.
Yeah, then I was right about it being a typo.
Yeah, you're right. Grammar, it matters. Okay.
Yeah, never get a grammar Nazi on.
Oh my god.
Especially if it's a German.
Okay.
Insightful, but which was unlikely to tell you much about what it meant to be a real person navigating any of the subjects they discussed. They were very smart, but didn't do much for audiences looking for sincere emotional pathos. It's the difference between watching Kenny die for the 100th time and watching BoJack Horseman character Sarah Lynn die.
South Park
once,
is not about emotional
from which I will
pathos.
Probably never recover.
Right, Sarah Lynn? Sarah Lynn?
Suffice to say, you're likely not shooting to provoke
I would
intense
need to know the
emotions
context
per se.
of that.
You're also a show that's happy to have one of your lead
She OD'd
characters
and
feed another
died.
kid's parents to him via a bowl of chili.
I made you eat your parents.
The point of this kind of adult animation was to use the looser boundaries of the medium to go completely balls to the wall, putting things on screen that would either be physically impossible or extremely illegal if done by an actual human being. It was about leaning into the chaos to mine comedy from all the darkest, most f***ed up stuff the writers could come up with. And it was okay to laugh at it all because ultimately, they were just cartoons. Right?
It's not because it was just cartoons.
Years,
they were
we've seen
intelligent
more
things.
And more shows ask us
and
to
intelligent
emotionally
critique.
invest in our animated friends at a much deeper level. Adult animation is still as wild as it's ever been. One glance at Rick and Morty's phone-munching chair people or Tuca and Birdie's turtle-hoarding neighbor will tell you that. But they've integrated some of the harshest parts of our reality into their own colorful worlds. The prime example is BoJack Horseman, which despite its constant punning and weird animal antics, is basically a whole show about depression. It explores mental illness in a way that often veers into the territory of addiction.
Hey,
Like an
idiot!
thing?
No. The way to deal with depression is not to watch BoJack Horseman. That was just indulging in it. If you want to deal with depression, go and work the fuck out. Every day for 2 hours. Light exercise. That's how you start. Then you eat well.
Well,
then you find something that interests you and do it.
The idea behind exercise is that you will get tired, you will get hungry, and when you're depressed, you don't want to eat. So that's a good...
Yeah. And furthermore, the most important part of it is, when you exercise, you jumpstart your circulation, which pushes your blood up into your brain again, so that your brain gets nutrients, gets blood sugar, gets oxygen. Because when you're in a depressed state, there's barely any nutrients getting up into your brain, so it has no fuel to fuel its cells with, to think. That's why you have such a hard time thinking about anything, including your fucking life problems, that are actually, in most cases, relatively easy. Sometimes you just need someone to reflect about them with. But when you're in a we call it the devil cycle, where you can't you have a problem and you're exhausted from thinking about it, so you can't solve it, and you're so exhausted that you can't think about it, so you can't solve it. So you keep trying to think about to solve your problem, but you're exhausted, so you can't think about it, and so on. That's why you beat depression with physical workout, because that pumps the nutrients back into your brain, so that you have to have fuel to think. That's the important part. And yes, it is absolutely hard to get into working out.
Yeah,
that's why you don't start by just doing, I'm gonna do 50 push-ups starting today. No, you're not going to do 50 push-ups. Fuck off. You're going to do 1.
I don't think you're gonna have any recommendations by therapists. Just go watch some cartoons about depression. Like, that's not.
Yeah, that means you're sitting around and your body is what? Sitting around, not moving.
Yeah, I don't know
Nothing
if there's
your brain.
I mean, there are some books that do help that you read about that will help you out through your problems, but I don't think a cartoon of that style is going to be like, here's Billy, he's a horse boy or whatever, and he's got depression.
It can maybe give you a little bit of an epiphany when it hits an exact problem that you have.
Yeah, maybe.
That is playing the lottery.
When I hear stories from people who have, they lost a loved one, they're in a car accident, they're in recovery or whatever, they're feeling bad, they're feeling down, and they will tell me stories of, I played this game or I watched this movie and I really want to thank the author or the actors or whatever. It's like, there are some random shows that make you feel better just because they have uplifting endings, but they have nothing to do with the actual ailments you have. It's just a good thing. You like the entertainment. It's cathartic.
This is just indulgement in depression for people who indulge in their depression. And they're made by people who don't know how to deal with their depression either.
I would have to watch one of those shows to say that, because I'm not sure what Horseman is all about.
If he says the whole thing is about depression, then fuck him.
Yeah, that's weird. Can you imagine basing a story off depression? That'd be weird.
Yeah. So I'm giving you the short run of it. You give for today, you do 3 squats. No more, just 3. You can do 3. Everyone can do 3. If you can't do 3, you do 1. Tomorrow, you do 2 more. The day after, you do 2 more than that. Or if you can, you will probably already be able to push to 10 and not even feel a thing after doing it 2 days in a row. Then you do 15, then you do 20. And then you do 20 every day. And you set your alarm. You have your smartphone. Everyone has a smartphone today. You set an alarm at a specific time. And when that alarm goes off, no matter what's going on right now, you get up and do 20 squats. Then you're done. Then you have some blood in your brain. And then you sit down, or you can do it if you have a standing table, all the better. And you write about your problems and your thoughts. You take a pen and a piece of paper and write by hand about your problems and your thoughts. And that is how you deal with depression. That's how you beat depression. That's how you get out of depression. With these 2 simple things. I'm not kidding. It's not pills. It's not months of therapy. It's not watching cartoons. It's doing some squats or anything equivalent, and you can build on that. Once you get this routine in, you can get a morning routine with doing some light exercise.
Well, I think that's good therapy.
You write a shit down. That's the basics, and that's the basics of any therapist who knows his shit would tell you as well.
I think anyone waking up, you will learn very quickly that your body needs to exercise in order to constitute the requirements of the day, whatever job.
Yeah, but when you're in a deep depression.
Oh yeah, that's different.
You just roll out of bed and you have trouble just shambling through your through your place. Yeah. It can get so bad that people can't even bring themselves to brush their teeth anymore. But you have to force yourself, really.
All right.
And the way you get to that energy is by jump starting through light exercise.
All right. Vladimir Dragunov, thanks for the 5. That's a very accurate workstation for Amazon, by the way. I did not know that. Okay. Good stuff. Haven't seen their internal warehousing, but good to know. Here is Turmoil. Okay. Cartman's Silly Hate Crime. SR Hates Animaniacs.
SR?
Who is SR?
South.
Acronym for, I don't know, yeah. Anyway, back to the depressing Horseman story. That's just not the best premise, but okay.
I don't need a childhood trauma. PTSD. and a host of other places where
if you have PTSD, you don't say oh.
Similarly, Big Mouth's animated middle school hijinks allow it to dig into the messy parts of adolescence, as well as the psychological toll that divorce can take on a kid. And Rick and Morty might go on adventures through a multiverse full of giant butts and greasy grandmas, but the heart of their story is usually about self-hatred, despair, and broken relationships. And even a show as visually delightful and formally playful as Tuca and Birdie still finds a way to deal with painful subjects like sexual assault.
Tuca, I have to tell you something.
So whichever present-day adult animated series you're into,
Hey, stop. Any of these topics is better addressed by anime. Seriously. Because they take these topics seriously. Not all this crap.
Well, with anime, we could talk about the quality of everything. The visuals, the sound, the stories, the pacing.
If you just talk about addressing in this case, we're just talking about the writing. Because anime continuously takes it seriously without breaking the fourth wall, without making quippy jokes all the time, which comes across as taking things lightly. It does come across as doing things in a somewhat dismissive manner.
It depends, because some of this I heard people talk about. Oh, if you want to watch an anime about depression, watch Serial Experiments Lane, or
I don't know.
All these other there's anime that is like, okay, the theme is
it's an anime that makes you depressed.
Well,
by this, in the same vein, you would say, oh, if you want to watch an anime about being suicidal, watch Neon Genesis Evangelion. No, it doesn't work like that just because the maker was suicidal when he made it.
Right. But the idea and tone of these stories or these animes, they keep it consistent. So it's like, oh, I get it. This is what it's going to be. For example, I brought up Trigun previous stream. It goes from happy-go-lucky, silly to serious, and then the character he is depressed, he is shocked, he is just dead, trying to get by, and he's having these convulsive attacks where he just gets up and starts bawling his eyes out. That would be at least a different approach to how to look at a character who's going through those scenarios of depression and suffering. So you don't want to have an entire story about that. That would be too much.
Yeah. A lighter version of those topics would be Haibane Renmei, which is, I think it was also made by the Lane guy.
I don't know, but Lane, when you watch Lane
is its own thing.
It makes you feel empty, and I don't know if that's a good idea for anyone who's depressed. Like, you should watch this. It understands your feelings and this and that. It's like, but that's all. It keeps you there.
I'd rather say not depressed. I would rather say there is an element of suicidality in it. Quite big. I mean, it's the first episode.
Yeah.
And that is more than just depression. Depression and suicide are not the same thing. They have something to do with each other, but they're not the same thing.
Oh God.
Someone depressed is not automatically suicidal.
Here's Butch Lesbian Sundance Kid. Thank you. We need to prescribe depressed people cocaine. I've never seen someone be depressed and on cocaine. Also, BoJack Horseman is a show about miserable people being assholes to each other. It seems like a bad way to help the mentally ill. I'm not sure any of these cartoons are good for teaching you proper things. I think they're just there because they were hired. They got hired to tell a story about anthropomorphic creatures that
it all seems like, to me, it seems like, I'm laughing about my problems, but not actually solving them. Haha.
It's like, here's conflict and a bunch of characters. Slice of life, go. And it's like, that's it. Because there's no plot. It's just a bunch of characters.
Yeah.
There's no point to it all.
The way a lot of these shows, the ones that I've seen, come across to me, that includes Rick and Morty, is not actually overcoming problems. It happens extremely rarely there. It's just that the problems are displayed as permanent effects that are just there. They have to be accepted. People are dealing with them, but nobody ever comes to a solution. At best, it's a different type of coping. So a wrong way of dealing with it is adopted that is not actually solving the problem, but just putting it into a different place.
Here is Tyler Preston. Thanks for the one. Long ago, in a time when Western cartoons was good, there was a cartoon from the 90s that is compared to Gundam in its storytelling. It was called Exo Squad. It tackled the horrors of war and racism in a way that children that understand. Exo Squad sounds familiar. I don't remember watching it, though.
Never heard of it. Probably never came to Germany.
There were so many cartoons in the 90s that a lot of people just forgot about or didn't even watch. It's kind of sad. Everyone was making cartoons. So much awesome stuff.
93. It looks like 80s. It looks like from the 80s. Wow. Okay.
It looks cool. I just saw some screen caps. It looks like, it's Western animation, and
Yeah.
All right, back to
his face looks weird.
Yeah. Back to the video.
He almost looks like Jared.
No, don't. I miss Jared already.
What's this with this childish Sesame Street background with the too many colors?
What is that? Why do they bother with that?
Why do you make everything like it's for infants?
It's like this weird modern art piece. Like, what are you doing? Stop it.
There's no meaning to any of this. And it's not even... It doesn't even follow the rules of cubism.
Well...
Which would be aesthetically pleasing. This is not aesthetically pleasing. This is just noise.
Some people have shelves and bookcases behind them with actual stuff that has relevance. This is just a bunch of shapes and colors.
I mean, look at his shirt. Isn't that relevant? It's like a person that's standing to a tree, or
and his aura mingling with the aura of the tree, or what? What is the head?
I thought he was looking for his cat. I don't know.
What's going on with the head?
Yeah, the head's kind of weird looking.
Did he
explain us that, Mr. Wisecrack?
Did he eat like noodles?
Noodles? Maybe it's the stomach pipe that's going to the spine for some reason.
From his nose, yeah, okay.
Yeah. Joe Crazy said, semi-sarcasm is just a very popular kind of humor in the States. Calling this semi-sarcasm sounds rather on point, because doesn't seem to be real sarcasm. It's just plainly dismissive. Sarcasm usually has a something to learn from it.
Well, it comes from a place of knowledge. That's why you use sarcasm, because you know what you're going through, and you're like, oh, this again. Let me deal with it in a creative way. I'll use
because you already know the answer to the problem. Yeah. That's when you get sarcastic.
Like, oh, the young girl is screaming about her boyfriend again. Oh wow, who heard of that ever before? Not me. Definitely not me. Oh, she's crying. He doesn't treat her well enough. Oh yeah.
Oh, she got back together with the boyfriend that beats her. Oh, what a surprise.
Look at that, yeah.
Maybe she's gay?
Okay. That would be new. Anyway.
You're breaking our game here, man.
Yeah. All right. 7 minutes and a half. Not even halfway done. Wow. Yeah. Let's hope for some...
Back to Big Mouth.
was it Purple Spoon?
This whole type of humor is a sign of the times that all these people in the United States are mentally ill in some form or another. That's why they enjoy this. That's why he says this is great therapy when it isn't.
Well, if he's eating Magic Spoon...
It's just indulging in your problems.
I know.
And everyone is like this.
Maybe Magic Spoon is actually a good product, and it's making him feel good, and I don't know, maybe it's nutritious. There's no sugar in it, of course. So
yeah, but then that's just coping.
You're eating cereal, buddy.
Coping is not solving your problems. Coping is alcoholism is coping. Overeating is coping. Doing too much sports is also coping.
It is high
Sleeping
protein.
Around is coping.
I would say Magic
All
Spoon.
All these extremes to numb yourself, they're coping.
It is high in protein and high in fat, so it's keto friendly. Not that I'm selling it. I'm just saying it is. It does look like a healthy meal. I just can't get over the fact it's freaking cereal and you put milk on it and you eat it like you're a 4-year-old or something.
Yeah, but these people are all 4 years old. They're all mental. They're all children. They never wanted to grow up. That's why they surround themselves with stupid colors.
They never bothered to buy eggs and bacon and make jam and spread it on toast.
Hunt for their own meat.
Jam? You believe they know how to make jam?
Yeah, making jam's not that hard.
They're not making jam. They're buying things from the store. They think food is made in the store.
Oh. Just pops out of the...
That's why they think
it's made by the
agrarian areas and the rural areas in the States aren't important because they think food is made in the store.
Either that or I'm from Canada. We get so much options for bacon. We're just like, oh, well, we get, this product from this farm or this product from that other farm. There's so much options. We don't care. It's like, oh, I want all the bacon anyway. So who needs cereal? Anyway. And when you buy your bacon, you immediately cook it. So it's easier to put together at the last minute.
Yeah. I'll just sum this up as famous German poet Johann Wolfgang von Goethe once said, colors are for simple people and children.
But bacon's for adults. Well, Canadian adults at least. Bacon should make most people happy, even if you don't like meat. Just the smell alone is like, ooh, bacon. I know that smell. Anyway, let's continue.
It's safe to say that we've come a long way from the gentle rhythms and easy resolutions of Bedrock and Springfield, and that where we are now is a hell of a lot darker. So the big question is, why? Why would we look towards places full of talking animals and shame wizards to explore the harsher parts of the human experience? Part of the appeal might have to do with the medium of animation. Animated characters have an inherent sort of universality.
Can you stop showing that cartoon?
Genre and authorship, scholar and artist Paul Wells summarizes psychoanalyst Martin Grogan, writing that the animated figure works as a symbol that transcends material.
Oh, psychoanalyst. Here we go.
Do not listen to psychoanalysts. They're stuck in the 1800s.
Forget about just don't bother listening to any quote from a psychoanalyst. Unless they're your therapist and they're good, then don't bother. Just don't listen to them.
It'll sound nice. It'll sound intelligent. It'll sound profound. But it's
is that a word though?
Just go to your local wizard or something and have a crystal ball reading or tea leaves reading or something.
Oh boy.
Tarot cards. Many people like tarot cards.
Those are pretty.
That instead.
All right.
Materiality makes material.
Essentially,
cartoons can actually be easier for us to project ourselves onto because they're not real. I mean, have you ever felt more seen by a flesh and blood human being than you have looking at the "This is fine" dog?
When I watch Seinfeld, I don't think, oh yeah, this is New York. This is how people act. This is normal.
I thought we live in the times where everybody has to look exactly like me or I can't project myself onto that person.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't understand.
I look like a horse.
This fictional TV show I watch, I can't relate properly. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, to me it makes no difference. Look, to me, let's say to somewhat grown-up people, it makes no difference whether it's a cartoon character or a flesh and blood TV character, movie character, or a 3D animated character, or just someone in a book that's described. And if you have the kind of mind that paints you a picture of how that person looks, it doesn't matter what the character looks like. To a more mature mind, it only matters what the character goes through. And if you can't, this is a perfect frame to explain this to him. If you can't comprehend that, you are stuck with the mind of a child.
That also relates to storytelling as a whole, so that whatever they go through has some sort of resolution, as opposed to, oh, he went through all that, and what does that mean? What happened? Like, you need to have a resolution. You can't just have, he's depressed and he goes to deal with it and nothing happens. You're like, wait, no. There has to be an answer. I want to know the answer. What happened? So you need to have endings to your stories, no matter what. It's kind of essential to a story to have an ending, but Okay, here is the Giga Chad one more time. Thanks for the 1 Yeah, I don't know, man. I just don't think media made by affluent people who have never experienced genuine struggle in their lives is a good place to look when you're looking for exploration of the darker parts of the human condition. This is interesting because when we talk about drama or comedy, comedy is a very good example of, imagine a comedian who is bitching and making a joke about being rich. It doesn't resonate. Not to say that the general audience won't get what he's trying to do, but there's always this idea of the comedian being this voice of the people who's down to earth and understands everyone on a low level, walking down the street, you're poor, you're whatever. They can be honest with you. They can't just be above you. They can't just be, oh, in my rich palace where I ran out of filet mignon. Oh, no. Like, you can't make a joke about it. It's not going to work. It's the same with drama. The same with action. You can't just have this alien world where no one understands how physics works. You have to explain it properly, or any other fictional world. That's why in some cases, the juxtaposition of human bodies or anthropomorphism or putting eyes on an object, it's like, okay, it's cute. If it's attractive, they'll want to pay attention. If it's weird, you're like, okay, now I can distance myself from it. But there's something else that has to be attractive about it as to why you're even paying attention. So I don't know what the Horseman story is all about or what's attractive about it. I don't look at that and go, oh, I can't wait to watch that. I'm like, doesn't really appeal to me. So there has to be something, either the voice acting, the animation quality, the art style, the music, something has to work. And as soon as you get my foot in the door, then you can tell your story. Then you can go sell me on, politics bad because Trump bad. I don't care. Like use something. So you have to get me in the door. And when you have bad artwork or American style, whatever this junk is, it's a hard sell. So with anime, with manga, it's already appealing to my finer, gentler, like, oh, that's cute. Oh, that's a young lady or that's a young boy. You could tell by the size of their eyes and the shape of their head and all the things you don't think about. When you see people of certain body types, you're like, oh, that's 12 years old. That's probably 18 years old. And it goes, oh, they're in high school. Oh, they're having a problem with girls and boys. Ah, no problem. I'm there already. And that's why there are so many young adult stories. So we can relate to them very, very quickly and get to the unique part. It's like, okay, boy meets girl, no problem. Yeah, we've seen this billions of times over. Where's the drama? What's new? What's unique? Oh, they're in a new world. Oh, one's a succubus and she's scared of hurting someone. Oh, I've seen that before. Keep going. What's new? Because we've seen that before too. So these stories have been done to death in Japan, and they know it. And that's why they want to keep pushing the envelope. Okay, what can we do next? What's a new trope we can try? We can combine with another trope. What do we do with the overpowered hero again? Okay, well, turn him into a baby in his next life or something. It's like, okay. All kinds of fun stuff. That to me is, and then you can still talk about depression. You can still talk about any other themes you like. It'll still work. So, anyway. Thank you, Giga Chat. Here's Roan Harushan giving me more money. Dude, you already gave me 50. Now you're giving me another 10. Take a break. Save some money. Spend it on your family. You got Christmas coming up. Come on, man.
Yeah, buy nice presents.
Buy some panettone for $6. It's delicious.
Yeah, or a nice pen.
A pen? Yeah, sure. Why not? I wouldn't.
It's fun to. It's.
I'd say buy a nice keyboard that doesn't sound like you're breaking shells when you're walking across the room. Whenever.
No, buy exactly that keyboard.
No,
because it's wonderful to type on.
Do not. It
feels so good. It feels so good to type on a mechanical keyboard.
Oh God.
The feedback.
Okay.
Great.
Here's Ron Harushan. Thank you again. I too like tarot cards. My favorite as the Star Platinum Badumtis. Okay. Yes, Star Platinum is a fantastic tarot card. Is there JoJo tarot cards? I don't know. There probably is.
Probably.
There's JoJo everything. Okay. Okay, associating our identities with cartoons. Sure, why not? Let's do it.
Similarly, animation expert Professor Paul Wells has said that animation itself creates a space for characters or phenomena to operate on more symbolic or metaphoric terms and conditions, which invites a greater degree of possibly highly charged emotive or abstract interpretation.
I'm not going to disagree, but this
read a book.
Yeah, this is the same thing as saying, well, if you're in the science fiction genre, you can do more complicated things. In the future, you have technology. If you're in a fantasy genre, you have magic. It's the same idea. It's like, oh, because you have animation, you could get away with a lot of stuff. It's like, you can.
You could say the same thing about theater.
Yeah, your mind is suddenly suspending the disbelief of whatever's on the screen because A, it's not real of some kind.
Yeah,
it's
theater
drawn.
Is by itself about the big emotions. It's why we call it theatrical.
Yeah,
and what's the other word? Dramatic and melodramatic. Those are all terms from theater. Because you emote, and you emote more than a normal person would. Because this is also through the connection with the audience that the audience can process through those emotions that they usually don't.
Yeah, this
outside.
is
this would be the only one argument for which this. Oh yeah, you watch a show about where everything's depressed and it's like depression, and you learn to deal with your own depression. And no, you don't. You just reflecting the emotion, if you will.
I tend to look at other famous authors like Haruki Murakami, one of the more famous Japanese authors nowadays, who writes slice of life. So his stuff is very mundane, straightforward.
Yeah, and at the end it always gets psychedelic.
And then it gets fantastical for no reason. You're like, dude, you were telling a fine story, but you want to pump it. You want to make it weird for some reason.
Yeah.
And all you have to do, if you wanted to make it psychedelic, throw in drugs, throw in a dream, that'll be fine. But it's always some weird Alice in Wonderland bullshit. You're like, dude, you didn't have to go that far. You were fine telling a story about a Japanese guy in the Highlands and getting his life back together as a painter, and that was fine. That was just totally fine.
Collection. What the fuck?
Yeah. Murakami, a lot of these Asian authors, they're very poetic. They do...
I'm reorganizing that part of my bookshelf. And
are you organizing your bookshelf there, Wisp? You're busy?
No. I haven't sorted in the Murakami books yet. I was looking for which title it was, and it was Sputnik Sweetheart. That's one of these super slice of life things all the time. The entire thing. It's just it's okay thing. And then at the end, it's just a psychedelic dream where she gets into this dream world where she's climbing a ladder or something into a window that hangs in midair in the sky, and it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, go to you know how we have bingo cards for all of our shit that we watch on YouTube? There's a bingo card for Murakami. It's hilarious. Like, as soon as you see it, as soon as you see it, you're like, yep, that's exactly like every Murakami book. It's amazing.
I mean, I never got to Mr. Aufziehvogel. I don't know what the original title for that is. Because I got stuck in what's the other one, the big one, and it has a great setup because it plays between the real world and the fantasy world in a way, and they mix together. And what is it? So that's Sputnik Sweetheart. That's Mr. Aufziehvogel. Where's the other one? I'm missing a book. Damn. So I don't know what the name was. Sorry. I only got 3/4 in, and then I was very, very busy.
So the problem is when you use realism and then you combine it with magical, whatever it's called, magical realism or magical genre, whatever the fantasy element of that magical world is, you disconnect from all the buildup you had that you thought, okay, this is real, and then your mind goes, wait, now what's happening? Where am I going? Why did this happen? And he does that in almost every story, aside from his short stories, which is okay. His short stories are actually pretty good. So, anyway, we're not going to talk about Murakami. If you guys want to check him out, he's still one of the few remaining living, well-known Japanese authors out there.
Yeah, he's chill, and one of the few internationally known ones.
Famous, exactly. Yeah, I'd say that he's number one. Yeah. Anyway.
Animation is by nature a bunch of symbols that we've created.
Sorry?
Turmoil in the chat asked Murakami Teruaki or Murakami Haruki? It's Haruki Murakami.
Oh.
So in the West, they put the first name first. Haruki Murakami.
Haruki, yes. You got it.
Yes.
I know there's the other guy. I just never read him.
My God, this is ugly. I'm on the toilet.
Let's keep going.
Probably barfing.
Okay. Have fun.
To represent reality. So it kind of makes sense that we'd be inclined to engage with them on a metaphorical level, even if some of those symbols are things like sperm monsters and centaurs. Animation is also far less beholden to logic than most other mainstream entertainment. We'll gladly accept characters surviving things that should kill them, or entire cities being flattened and then instantly rebuilt.
Yeah, but that's not logic. That's just convention, because they want the story to continue, or they want a character to keep talking, or they have a contract with the voice actor so they can't kill him off yet. So they have to bring them back. They do that in normal soap operas too. That's not the issue. It's supposed to be goofy. If it's a comedy show, of course, like Archer, for example. So that's nothing special. Your brain goes, yeah, okay, I get it, what they're doing. It's fine.
Just so long as everyone involved is made of ink. And on a different level, it's also less beholden to the dominant logic of our societies. So Rick and Morty can point out economic exploitation in a way that would make a live-action comedy feel like a huge bummer.
Why?
Metaphor for capitalism, Morty. What do you think?
What's more, being less tethered to reality often allows animated shows to evoke their characters' feelings and mental states much more directly, something which BoJack Horseman was always uncomfortably great at. Think about the opening credits, where we watch him float through scenes from his life in an emotionally detached haze. Later, we come to understand it's his primary defense mechanism. Or consider the incredible, almost wordless underwater episode, where BoJack is forced to navigate a world he doesn't understand without being able to talk, emphasizing his emotional isolation. Or think about the increasingly abstracted visuals used to portray his emotional breakdown in Season 5, allowing us to...
There were 5 seasons of this? Holy crap.
6, maybe 7.
Oh boy, yeah, that's right. It's been a while.
I think it even won awards, if I remember correctly.
Okay, well, there must be some redeeming quality of this thing. I just never cared to watch. I'm sure every animation out there in the West has something that's like, okay, they did this well. But I don't want to watch through one season, let alone 5, to find it. There has to be like that. There has to be that one episode. It's like, okay, everyone should, if you want to know what this show is about, go watch that. So,
it's a mix of comedy and then of course it deals with that serious stuff that they keep talking about. But I mean, I don't know. I mostly finished the show just because it's goofy and I don't know, it made me laugh, so I just kept with it.
Okay.
I mean, there's one episode particularly that they, like, BoJack is giving a eulogy for his dead mother, and I think, how long is it? 20 minutes maybe? He's just talking about his overall feelings about her death and whatnot, and a lot of people seem to connect with that, I guess. But I just don't see how it's like therapy, you know?
Well, the idea behind the show is to be entertained, and if it's not comedic, then it's got to be dramatic or action-packed or something sensational. So
I think it's rather you are more likely to watch it when you are depressed.
Oh, really? You have nothing better to watch? You just keep flipping through the channels?
Because if you aren't, it's probably not as enjoyable. Then you just think, what is this crap? Just get your fucking ass off. You bloody self-pitying idiot.
Okay.
Get over your petty problems.
So you're bashing the protagonist.
Yeah, but fucking hell.
But the protagonist is his asshole. He's a washed-up sitcom star. I'm supposed to feel bad for him all the time?
Yeah, and from afar, I heard that he was talking bullshit about logic. That these shows are illogical, or at least more often. And I'm sorry, that is not the case. They still have internal logic. they're internally consistent. Because when they stop being internally consistent, unless they are deliberately not for a specific joke, Rick and Morty plays around with that, while trying to stay internally consistent, it falls apart.
Well,
so they are internally consistent. Doesn't matter. You have this floating flat planet thing, like that's like Asgard in the MCU. We don't need to know why it's a floating flat thing in the middle of the universe.
The example
we can just accept that because there's an internal logic why this thing exists that specific way.
The example you
don't need to exactly know why. It's like every fantasy world has these things, even if you just say it's magic.
The only example I recall was he referring to why would these persons survive after a plane crash or what have you. It's like there's lots of reasons in comics, in animation, why they must keep characters still alive. So
there's also lots of plane crashes where people do survive afterwards.
In other stories as well. So it's like this is
real life, I mean.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's not an unheard of to have character not die for many reasons, and we could explain that in all kinds of ways. So long as there's an explanation, it's like, yeah, it's fine. It's a comedy. Don't take it too seriously. It's fine. You can keep going with the story. It's not if Wolverine gets killed in a plane crash, like that's weird. They'll bring him back tomorrow. They probably will. So it's not impossible to have character deaths not be explained or character survivings not be fully explained. That's usually a good mystery. So logic, I don't think he means fully explorable scenarios or fully explained scenarios with proper exposition. You don't need that all the time.
Yeah, for example, Rick and Morty, someone in the chat brings up the planet where everything is on the cob. For example. Yeah, that is a silly world. Sure. But it is internally consistent. It has this rule that everything is on the cob and it plays that straight. Doesn't matter whether it makes sense or not. But it keeps this internal consistency. And everything else in that world is derived from that. And when he can't even differentiate between internal consistency, internal logic, and logic as a whole, then there is no wisdom gained from this man or this channel at large. There is no wisdom here at Wisecrack. Go elsewhere.
Because I'm still waiting to hear how it's great therapy.
When he calls himself, this channel calls itself Wisecrack. He wants to talk about wisdom. He wants to convey wisdom, but he fails at the most basics of philosophy.
Well,
and go fuck yourself.
To be fair, it was Jared that started it, I think.
Oh, he started Wisecrack? Really?
Wasn't it Jared?
I thought he was just an intern that worked his way up.
I thought it was him. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, but really, if you want to get some wisdom and maybe even find something that can help you with your depression, read the old Greek philosophers. That's where you can get the actual stuff, not this weirdly colored pseudo-intellectual crap that glorifies questionably written cartoons for adults. Alleged adults.
That would take actual time. Not to say it's hard to read Plato. Plato is the easiest philosopher to read that I've ever encountered.
Plato. An idiot.
Plato's an idiot? The dialogues, Socrates, Phaedrus.
Yeah, but that is Socrates. Read Socrates, read Aristoteles.
Well, Socrates is Plato. That's the only account of Socrates we have is from Plato. So whenever you say Socrates, you mean Plato's Socrates.
Okay. With Plato's an idiot, I mean things like Plato's Republic.
Well, there are some weird elements.
Stuff that he has himself written, not recounts of Socrates.
Well,
recounts of Socrates, yes, he can have skewed that as well, but because it's secondhand info. But Socrates is fine. When I mean Plato is an idiot, I mean his own creations.
I wouldn't say the Republic is idiotic. I would say it's flawed, but that's like any concept of government. Like even his 5 regimes is flawed. But they're pretty important to understanding politics as a whole or the law.
Yes, that is true. That is true. That I give to you. but in finding wisdom and possibly doing something about your depression.
No, well,
if you want to find wisdom for that, then read the two originals.
Geez, I wouldn't even. I've read quite a lot of the Greek philosophers. I don't think I would say Aristotle or Plato are good in that regard. They are eye-opening. Well, no, you cannot read Aristotle, and if you're depressed, like it's not gonna hit your brain. Your brain's gonna be like, I don't care. There's nothing healthy about Aristotle emotionally.
I guess it depends on how your mind works.
Honestly, the average reader going through Categoria, like the first few chapters, like it's tough. You gotta have you have to pay attention. You can't just be depressed. I'll read a paragraph here.
I read that when I was depressed. It worked fine for me. I read
push-ups while you read the book.
By what was it, Aristophanes?
Maybe Nicomachean Ethics, but not.
It's a wonderful comedy. It made me laugh my ass off while I was in a really, really painful depression due to the dysphoria.
Okay, all right.
Barely anything to get me to laugh. Then I read The Birds and was like, what the fuck? This is brilliant.
There are some philosophers that do make you feel better. Plato is one of those for me. I don't know. I've read a lot of Aristotle. I wouldn't say he's therapeutic, though. I think he's like climbing a mountain. That's what Aristotle is. He's just like massive.
Yeah. Okay. I should try to get this back to this topic here, which is what I mean is this guy tries to sell us wisdom, because that's what his channel is about, and tries to sell us cartoons about life problems, existentialist problems. And I'm saying, screw that and read some actual philosophers instead. If you want to battle your depression with wisdom, read some actual philosophers. Get an audiobook for fuck's sake. If that's what you need. But that would be more helpful than watching cartoon drivel, especially the pedophilic stuff that
I think that you had the right idea of going to a therapist or exercise. Those are very good ideas for that problem. I don't know if I think everyone should be reading everything anyway, but not for
here. I'm just saying go to the old philosophers if you want to do what he's telling you and find wisdom in something like cartoons. Then I'm saying find the actual wisdom from the people who thought about stuff.
I think
that's all I'm saying.
I think
if we just want to stay in this one point of finding wisdom in a medium.
Right. If you want to analyze an individual show and then extrapolate what that show represents and means, that's what Wisecrack used to do. And they talked about one show and they said, this is this movie, and they opened it up and this reminds them of this philosopher. Like, okay, fine, that's good. This is like adult animation in the West in general is good for therapy. You're just like, whoa. Not all of it. That doesn't make any sense. And he's trying to take apart South Park. And he's trying to take about this Horseman show. And you're like, not quite. Not really, no.
He's picking comedies. That's why I'm like, what?
He hasn't even talked about...
It's like the 8th time that he's talked about BoJack Horseman. And I know it was Jared before this guy, but...
Yeah, like, usually...
I've heard a lot of people talk about BoJack Horseman. There was someone in my dear old club that also wanted me to watch it, and I was like, this is one of these ugly cartoons. I can't stand them anymore.
Yeah, like usually when you talk about therapeutic elements in general, you talk about catharsis, which is an Aristotelian concept of tragedy. Mm-hmm. And you see the sad stuff happen on the screen or in the book or on the stage, and you cry along with them, even though they're not your tears. They're the reasons are external. And that allows you to associate those feelings with your own. And you go, now I feel a little bit better. And that's why Aristotle loved, or at least understood the reason why tragedy was important in life.
And other than that, read the Stoics. Read Marcus Aurelius, the Meditations. Wonderful stuff.
Those are great. Yeah, all the Stoics are another story. That will help you. If you have issues with your emotions, Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, Letters to Lucilius, like all those are great. They're long as hell, though. They're really long.
Yeah, because There's a lot of wisdom out there. It's 2,000-year-old text.
I know, they're great.
Think about that. This is like the age of mythology of our world, like where the ancients lived and had their stuff doing. Like we always talk about the Roman Empire, but we are not thinking about or realizing this is 2,000 years ago.
Yeah, it's great.
This is like it's an incomprehensible time. It's like when we talk in a fantasy world about 2,000 years ago, this empire of this other magical lizard race built these magical monuments that we are now trying to understand. Yeah, that's the pyramids. The Roman Empire was dealing with Cleopatra II. and try to visualize this in your head. And this is the time where we, to this day, derive our wisdom from. That's the basics of Western philosophy. That is from this time.
That is
for the Tao Te Ching, equally as old.
That is specific to the virtues, though, not the extent of Greek philosophy. There's lots of philosophers who do not focus on.
All right. But the same goes for Gautama Buddha, thousands of years old, and this is wisdom that has proven itself to work to this day. So there is worth in reading it at least once in your life.
Yes, I agree.
Marcus Aurelius' Meditations, the Tao Te Ching by Lao Tse, Aristoteles, all wonderful stuff. Give it a read. If you have problems in your life understanding yourself or anything, and you don't want to do the lobster, then do these guys.
Oh, okay. Anyway, we're at 10 minutes. We can keep going if you guys want. This is fine for me. I don't mind. Not a big deal. Yeah, we'll keep going.
Sure.
To experience the integration of reality right alongside him. In one such episode, the full immersive capacity of animation allows for his co-star and girlfriend Gina's cliche show tune song to read as dark and menacing, complete with dancing popsicles. Part of the reason we were able to get such a rich understanding of BoJack as a character was because the entire show could be warped to reflect his interior life and make it visible to the viewer.
Has anyone ever come back from this place?
BJ, there is no place. It's just your brain going through what it feels like it has to go through.
And this is true whether he's running through the washed-out imagery of his youth or watching Diane, the only person to ever effectively call him out on his bull, turn into a terrifying monster. Of course, it goes without saying that adult animation's introspective possibilities for achieving subjectivity also makes it very good at depicting drug experiences. Similar tactics have been employed by a host of other adult animated...
to deal with your problems? Seriously.
He was referring
drugs are just a coping mechanism.
I didn't quite catch that whole paragraph. He seems to just read through stuff and not explain it, like subjectivity.
Yeah,
I was like, what? What is he talking about?
Yeah, I had randomly also heard the word subjectivity, and I have no idea what that word did there.
Yeah,
I'm not sure what
word salad, or was he just speaking too fast?
I think he just went through a sentence and then just kept going. And I'm like, okay, sure.
Here's a quote from the show, and then he keeps talking. You know. Okay, what's your point? I don't get it.
All right, well, we'll just keep going. I didn't catch it. No one else caught it. We don't care. Okay, let's go.
Shows too. Big Mouth was able to make a full-blown musical spectacle out of a young period. This reflects how, from Jessie's point of view, having everyone know she was on her period felt about as seismic and humiliating as being followed by a giant
go away.
In Tuca and Birdie, quote-unquote, reality is similarly malleable.
What the hell is
when
this show
gentrification
anyway?
Threatens their neighborhood, it's symbolized by a pervasive moss.
It looks like
West's apartment building. When Tuca brushes
leftist
fingers
propaganda
with a brush, she's so
pamphlets.
excited that her bones literally fall out, and Birdie has to pick them up, which is what a brush with a crush truly feels like, isn't it? And of course, there's the show's deft handling of Birdie's sexual assault when she was 12. The show's normally chaotic animation style falls away in favor of a pared-down color palette and faceless figures. And it's the magic of animation that lets us truly see the experience from the victim's perspective. There's also the various outlandish ways the Boondocks found to use Japanese anime style to explore Black American trauma. Sometimes that means bringing Martin Luther King Jr. back to life to comment on contemporary Black culture, something that might border on sacrilege if employed in live action. And frequently, that means empowering its central character, Hugh.
Wait, hold on. What does this have to do with anything?
He said Black American trauma, and I'm like, Boondock Saints is a representation of Black American trauma.
No.
Since when?
Not trauma. If anything, it's criticizing and satirizing the absolute racist and contradictory, hypocritical and duplicitous nature of urban blacks in America.
It's a satire. Yeah, I would say that's closer to satire.
Yeah. Who are the
because that's every episode.
Yeah.
Trauma.
I mean, they even showed the duplicity of Obama.
I don't know.
No other show would have ever dared do that.
I'm trying to think of trauma in a show, and it's very hard to pick that apart. Maybe
that he says trauma simply means that he is using the social justice lingo. Where he's just using buzzwords. It's just a buzzword in this context.
I'm trying to
Nothing
think.
else.
I'm trying to think of it. Go ahead.
Like, I don't understand what this has to do with therapy. Like, are black people just watching Boondocks because it helps them cope with their black trauma?
Of what, though?
Exactly, what?
Yeah, Boondocks doesn't do that. Boondocks calls you out on being a bullshit idiot black man or woman that is an atrocious example of that race.
I'm trying to think
That's what it does.
Very good Japanese animes that do this. I wouldn't call them specifically about trauma, but traumatic events cause characters to be a certain way. And there's lots of examples. So Elfen Lied, however you pronounce that, Monster, even Cowboy Bebop has that in its own way. So like there's all kinds of elements of characters that are damaged and hurt. And having them get through that and go through that and how to deal with these issues. So I just don't like as soon as you put satire in there, unless the satirical element or the character who is constantly in pain and he's routinely displaying it, I'm suffering because of whatever, XYZ, yada, yada, yada. And they're trying to, get their way through sarcasm, or they're using some other element to get through their day. I can't really say Boondock Saints is it.
Stop. Just Boondocks. Boondock Saints is the Tarantino movie.
Yeah, it's the Irishman, right?
It happened to me too at times because it just rolls off the tongue.
Did I change that? Oh my God, you're right.
It's just Boondocks.
It is Boondocks, you're right? The Boondocks.
Yeah. And also the chat points out, which is what I expected, because I haven't seen all episodes of the Boondocks. Is in this Martin Luther King Jr. episode, Martin Luther King Jr. calls out the black community for its absolute bullshit and going against his principles. And there were lots of people, like the chat says, Al Sharpton among them, who denounced the episode for that because it wasn't just praising black people in general.
Oh, really? That's funny.
Yeah, because Martin Luther King Jr. here is played straight by the principles everyone knows him for. And yes, that man would call out the behavior of black people nowadays, because what he wanted was to treat people by their achievements, by the character, and not the color of their skin. But the urban blacks of America, all the social justice nonsense, this racial justice nonsense, which is the most decrepit thing ever since the Nazis, by the way, is all about judging people by their skin color and not their character. All of affirmative action is about judging people by their immutable characteristics, race, sex, religion, whatever, instead of their merit, instead of their character. You only get incompetent people and people who are in over their heads, who will fail, and you will get people who will just be, this is basically the opening the door for socialist ideologues getting into your company, getting into your university, and then changing it further and further, because these people aren't actually competent. They can only retain their positions by bullying others and shaming others and basically emotionally blackmailing and extorting and threatening the company or the university with, I'm going to go public about the alleged hate crime that I'm making up about you, and you can't do anything about it. So give me more money and give me more power. And because they're more scared about a loss of reputation, they will do it. And that's how they yield to these people. It's all a trick to get more ideological preachers into all of these places. That on the side, some other incompetent people or people who are just not qualified enough for it also get in. That's more of a side effect. The main effect is to get more ideologues in. And for universities, this has the problem that they keep saying, it's to get more black people in for equity, for parity with the other races. When in reality, those black people that get in with a lower bar of scores, which already says that you think black people are too dumb to get into university unless you lower the standards for them, which already is racist. These people who then get into university have to take student loans. They will then fail because they're held to the standards of everyone else when they're in university. So they drop out and then they have the student loan. So you impoverish the black people even more.
Yay.
So wonderful help you gave there, you fucking racist.
I love it how the score on Rotten Tomatoes for the Boondocks is 80% for the audience and 54% for the critics.
Whoa, really? So low?
Yeah.
Shows how racist they really are.
Did it used to be that, or was it always that?
I could not tell you. It is possible that Rotten Tomatoes pulled one of those weird, let's change the values of all our ratings right now.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a show back in 2005, so who knows how they recorded that or changed that. Anyway, 12 minutes in, 5 more to go.
Huey to engage in gravity-defying fight scenes that, in their outlandishness, paradoxically manage to accurately reflect the full scope of his inner power and rage. When you take a look around, the anything goes nature of animation actually allows it to aim directly at the stuff that's the most real. Okay, so that might explain why
I don't think you understood anything the show's about.
The lives of its characters, but that still leaves the bigger question. Why do we care? Why do we seem to get so much value out of watching animated characters process their pain?
Because you are a child.
Ancient Greece's biggest intellectual show-off, Aristotle, he might tell you that it's all about catharsis.
Did he just say... Greece's biggest intellectual show-off was Aristotle?
Show-off?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The man didn't even write anything down himself.
The man's one of the foremost geniuses of humanity. I don't care if he's a show-off.
He's not a show-off. If you want to call any of these original venerated guys a show-off, I'd say the closest of those is Plato. Because he seems to think of him higher than he is. And then you have the Diogenes come into his class and say, you're an idiot. And he proves it. Time and again.
You're talking about Diogenes?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm pronouncing it the German way.
I was like, what? Okay.
Diogenes.
Diogenes. That's the yoga?
Diogenes.
The Yoganist?
Diogenes.
Someone's doing yoga?
Diogenes. Aristoteles.
Yogurt?
Socrates.
Someone's eating yogurt in front of Plato. Like, what the hell are you talking about?
Aristophanes.
So anyway, this is the he should have started with this, talking about catharsis about any media, not specifically drawn animation or whatever. This is what Aristotle would have talked about in aesthetics. Or the poetics, I believe. And
it's funny that he's brought it up just after we talked about it.
Yeah, I know. This is basics, like philosophy 101. You learn about Aristotle. The easy stuff is like, he talked about catharsis and tragedy. You're like, oh, really? Okay, cool. And then you jump to Plato and you read easier stuff. So, yeah, this should have been like minute 1. This is how we feel better.
Backwards.
By the way, guys, anything you watch or read that's fictional should have an element of catharsis in it if you want to feel better. It's like, oh, how does that work? Well, here's Aristotle. I'll explain it to you. All right. Let's see what he has to say about Aristotle.
That watch characters undergo tragedy provides us with a vital release for our own feelings of sadness, fear, and anger. And
no. That's not...
It's not how it works.
It's, because guy on screen is feeling bad, therefore I'm crying for him, and I feel better? No? I'm still screwed up.
No. Catharsis is so it's not something you can work towards. It's just something that happens. So it's not a tool. A tool is something you can actively use.
Yeah, it's like watching.
It's just a description of a feeling.
Yeah, if you watch, like I used to watch a lot of Superman shows, TVs, like Smallville and movies and what have you. And for whatever dumb reason, I cry because it's Superman and he's struggling and he's fighting and he's getting beaten up and he's always there to stop the bad guy. And he's always trying. He never gives up. That to me is heroic. It's like, oh, it's a hero. He's invincible, but he can't do the things that normal people his age, like that was the stupid story in Smallville. Doesn't matter what Clark does, he can never fall in love. He just can't get a girlfriend, or the girlfriend he can get can never know, and he can never reveal his feelings, and it's always this sort of weird thing. And as dumb as and soap opera-y and as goofy as that show was, I would cry sometimes because there he is. He's going to be the guy who saves the day. He doesn't know it yet. He's scared about it. He's still figuring himself out. And that's all it took.
It's the basic superhero conundrum.
The basic, but then there's also the
dangerous life. And
there's the
how do you marry that with wanting a private life where you can just have that loving family that you wish for?
That is the dopey shit I don't like with all the hidden identity, secret identity crap. It's like, all right, whatever. That's your generic superhero stuff. What I liked with Smallville was it focused on the family. It focused on Jonathan Kent, and he was explaining and teaching to his son what it means to be good, what it means to do right, and why that's more important than anything else. It's like, yes, there is the origin of Superman. That's where it comes from. It comes from Jonathan Kent, and it comes from Martha Kent. Martha Kent was also part of that. And that is what you needed in all these ridiculous movies to teach us about morals and virtues. And that's my favorite scene in Man of Steel, as dumb as it is. Clark is holding the fence and he's gripping on it. You don't see he's bending it, but he's gripping on it. In his other hand, he's got Plato's Republic. And that to me means that he's smart enough to read philosophy, even if no one else around him is. And he knows what to do. And even though he even says, I wish I could have hit that kid. And even Jonathan Kent, bad depiction of Jonathan Kent in Man of Steel, but he says, and part of me wishes you did. Because, Jonathan Kent's a bit weird in Man of Steel. So,
yeah, it's not a good father figure.
Just not a good Jonathan Kent, unfortunately. Yeah. He was too much of a philosopher.
Especially not to a superpowered child.
Yeah, you want salt of the earth guy who loves America and God and his wife, and that's about it. Here you have the, is it right to hurt people? Is it right to save a bus full of children? Is it right to reveal yourself to the people you care about? Like it's like,
that's realistic.
Save the damn bus full of kids. Luckily that happens.
No, that's not realistic.
Why it had to be a philosophical moment?
What are you, a child?
Yeah. Someone in the story is. Yeah. Maybe the guy writing it. Anyway. Oh, all right. Back to his weird explanation of catharsis.
While many parts of these shows may be symbolic, they tend to get very literal when it comes to darker issues. We might not know what it's like to have our fiance stolen by a cyborg, or our wife killed by a version of ourselves from another dimension, but we've got plenty of experience with the other issues which affect these characters.
What the fuck?
Rick, Archer, and Bojack all struggle with alcohol issues, as do about 6% of American adults. And 1 out of every 9 Americans over the age of 65 suffers from
6%? Why does the fucking pause button not work? Only 6%? I don't believe that.
Yeah, I don't believe that either.
I think alcoholism is a much, much larger issue.
But what 6% of what though? Like
America.
More people are depressed
all of America.
It's
only the Americans from Kentucky. The rest of the country is like, we have no idea. We don't drink.
Why do we have AAAs then?
Well, that's the thing. They can only measure people who go to AA. Everyone else, they're drunk and they're happy. They're happy. They don't need to go anywhere.
They don't have a problem.
As many wine-ons as exist. That is more than 6% of all women.
Maybe they're drinking. Maybe they're drinking the bad Tennessee or Kentucky whiskey. I don't know.
I don't see what this has to do with anything, though.
Yeah, and the way alcoholism is depicted in these shows is not necessary. Is, if anything, shown that it's a bad coping mechanism. So maybe you should stop your coping with alcohol and solve your fucking problems.
He's not even because he's a drug addict. He does all kinds of drugs. It's not just alcohol. Yeah. That's the problem.
Yeah. And this is not drugs for, hey, let's have a new experience, but rather drugs for, I need an escapism. If you take drugs for escapism, you're an addict. You're a junkie. I'm sorry. It's just a fact.
Yeah, these numbers are a bit off.
You're not one if you just do this once to figure out, does this help me? And then you get to the conclusion, no, it doesn't, and you don't take it anymore because you don't see the need for it. Then you're lucky, and you're not. Maybe you even have the genetic marker that you don't get psychologically addicted to substances, which great luck. But if you get hooked on any of these things, that's a coping mechanism. That's not solving your issues.
Anyway, yeah,
what I said in the beginning, the rundown.
I'm sure there are issues. It's nice to have characters with failings and vices. I see nothing wrong with that. I just want to know, what relevancy does that have to do with actual alcoholics who are watching these shows and going, hey, these guys are coping with their alcoholism just like me.
Wow, I connect this character. Wow.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to help much.
Yeah, the broke bastard watching a rich horseman drinking and doing all kinds of drugs. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, do any of these cartoons ever show someone getting out of these addictions?
Well,
towards the end, yeah, for BoJack, he tries to, it's kind of left open, hopefully he's doing okay, he's recovered, moves on with his life, I don't know.
Okay, chat says, Drunken Mumble says in chat, in 2017 it was 12.7% for alcoholism in the United States. And in 2019 it was 25.8% for binge drinking specifically.
Okay, that's different.
Yeah, that is something different, but holy shit.
Yeah, we don't have keggers like they do in Canada, so... We like to sip our beer. I don't know about you guys. Anyway.
The sort of dimension so brutally portrayed in BoJack, and over 400,000 more Americans each year will sadly be able to relate far too easily to the experience of sexual assault in Tuca and Birdie. In their journey through the darker corners of existence, these shows will almost certainly bump up on something that either the viewer or someone in their life has dealt with, making it all powerfully, painfully.
Yeah, but
get therapy.
It doesn't make it cathartic. It doesn't make it therapy. That's just element. They're just telling a story with those elements.
So wait, I'm trying to understand. Rape victim watches show about character that gets raped. How is that therapeutic?
Yeah,
this is doesn't have at all.
This is the opposite argument, or the inverse of media causes violence, because you watch violence on media. Media causes therapy because you were hurt once and they were hurt too. You're like, what?
I could never open up to anyone, and then I watched this show.
Then I watched The Simpsons. Yeah,
I can tell you about a little bit of catharsis that I had a couple of weeks ago, when anyone who's watched the Rittenhouse trial on Nick Rekieta, he covered it with a bunch of his lawyer friends, and I watched, I think from day 3 or 4 onwards, I watched the whole thing live, or almost live, or right the same day that it aired, because it's a bit out of time zone. And the time that the guy they call PhotoChat, the wonderful high functioning autist, was on the witness stand, he got actively gaslit really, really hard by the persecution, to the point that it is just plain textbook psychological abuse that they did. They tried to skew the timeline, they tried to put words in his mouth, and so on and so on. But he could recall everything vividly that was talked about, that they tried to twist and manipulate, and he just said things as they were, because he's the type of autist who probably never lies, because that's just pointless for that kind of mind. And it was horrible to watch, because he went through that like 20-30 minutes on the witness stand there. I went through that exact kind of stuff for months without end. That is what can cause you a really bad case of psychologically induced PTSD. And watching him go through that, and even call the persecutor out on his bullshit, and even the judge having the back of the witness and reprimanding the persecutor to telling him that he's not to put words into the witness's mouth, but he has to listen to what the witness says instead. That was a sliver of catharsis for me, because that is something that I never got. I was only exposed to the manipulations, the gaslighting and the lies, while everyone around was just eating up the lies and never even wanted to hear my side of the story. No one asked me. So seeing a similar situation that had the positive element that my story lacked gave me a little bit of relief. That is catharsis. Not just watching the fucking abuse repeat. That is just re-traumatization. And that this guy doesn't understand that shows me that he has not an ounce of wisdom or life experience or understanding, comprehension about anything inside of him.
Of course not.
He's an idiot. And all the writers on Wisecrack that greenlit this shit, who maybe even helped write this shit, who helped edit this shit, they're idiots as well.
Well, I wouldn't
because
say,
nobody called this crap out.
I wouldn't say this is their worst video. It's not horrible. It's just got some weird bumps in it. You're like, why did you mention that?
It's idiotic, and it is wrong.
But it's pointless. This video did not need to be made, honestly.
It's kind of pointless, but it's not inherently bad. It's just got some issues with it. I'm like, okay, that's not really an example of catharsis, or this is not really a therapeutic method that you'd recommend. You could say you should watch some good tragedies, like, I don't know, Schindler's List. People brought that up. Yeah, that's got some catharsis in it. That'll make you feel stuff. Beautiful Life. There's all kinds of great stories that are sad, that make you smile a bit here and there. So you could argue that point, but you can't say it's therapy. I wouldn't say that's a good example. Maybe some actual therapists do recommend some movies. That's possible. I'd love to talk to them and ask them about that. This is what these guys should have done.
You need to know what exact movie is appropriate for the exact issue of the patient.
I don't think that would ever be a prognosis. I don't think that would ever be a suggestion. I think it would be like, oh, if you have depression in general, not serious depression, but something like, hey, they're not getting by very well, but they're not going to kill themselves. Let's watch this movie. Okay, make you feel better. It's like there are feel good movies out there. They're designed to make you smile. So I'm sure those are options, but they're not actual cures. They're not actual. Oh, I watched a movie. I feel all better now.
Movies don't solve your life problem.
No, but they're at least a stepping stone in the right direction.
They can, if you're lucky, one can give you a hint. There can be one line of wisdom inside that you hear and like, oh, that I wish my parents would have told me that when I was a kid. Like there's a relatively well-known proverb in Babylon 5 that I think didn't really make it into the German version. No, I didn't notice it when I was too little at the time. That I never heard a German equivalent of, which was when I think Sinclair or Sheridan who said that. I think it was Sheridan who said that his father told him to never start a fight, but to always end it.
That was in the normal.
That was in the what?
That was in the normal American version.
Yeah. Yeah, that was in the American version. And that is something you should tell your kid. Because just ignoring the bully is not going to end the fight. The bully started the fight. And the fight is not going to end unless you end it. You have to stand up. Just running away won't do it because the bully knows, I can just keep punching the kid, whether physically or psychologically. That is not ending the fight. And in Babylon 5, we're talking about war. It's the same thing. Just because you didn't start a war, and it's good you didn't start a war, but just because you didn't start a war doesn't mean that the other side will just stop being at war with you. Because they want to, if we stay in that language, bully you into submission. With giant spaceships that shoot very, very, very dangerous weapons that kill a lot of people. Okay. So you need to end that fight.
All right.
Even though you didn't start it.
3 minutes. Hopefully we'll get some more Magic Spoon advertising. I don't know.
But what was that bullshit anyway?
It's just cereal. Considering the backdrop, the color is pretty reminiscent of what he's eating.
This generation is just completely...
Why do they call it Magic Spoon?
Because it's low sugar, high protein, high fat. It's good for you. It's still cereal.
To build muscle.
I'm sure it's tasty. I've never tried it, but I don't want to turn like I want to try food before I critique it. So I'll say sure, maybe it's good for some people. Obviously, people like making affiliate links and making money. I've seen Magic Spoon on other channels. So
put some other box art on it and I'll try it.
Oh yeah, the box art's turning off. Is that how?
It makes me sick.
Give me a nice model of a 14-year-old girl going, and she's just having a bowl of cereal.
Smud, 14-year-old models. You want a 14-year-old model going?
14-year-old model, yeah. Make it a young adult sort of looking. It's like not.
No, put some busty anime girl on it.
Well, that's too obvious.
Yeah, because we're supposed to add milk, right?
Oh.
Yes, mommy.
Now you understand.
Just add milk. It's good for the nutritional value doesn't change much as soon as you add milk. It just tastes better. Okay. Okay. Anyway. Let's go.
Real. But what really makes these animated shows hit quite so hard? It's probably all the hours we spent staring square-eyed at cartoons while we were children. And it turns out our parents were right that all that TV time would mess us up. My bad, Dad. Although they probably just thought it would ruin our eyes and attention spans, not that we would one day be emotionally ruined by watching a horseman accidentally seducing a teenage deer, so actually, never mind, Dad. I take it back. Animated shows carry an even greater pathos for those of us who grew up watching them, because they present what Wells describes as the fictionalized notion of consciousness, which if imagined real, both recalls the playful and liberal apparatus of childhood and makes concrete the irony and contradiction of the adult sensibility. What that means is that adult animation occupies a sort of liminal space that splits the difference between the fond childhood memories which the medium recalls and the brutal adult realities which modern shows portray. So we come to these shows with all the emotional openness of a sweet summer child, only to be met with the wall-to-wall adult misery that's on display. And it might even be more than that, because in our softened cartoon-watching state, we aren't braced for an emotional gut punch the way we are checking out a prestige live-action series over on HBO. So when we watch...
Yeah, but that's dependent on the content and the context the content is presented. So if you say pathos, you're talking about an emotional reaction, and he's specific to hopefully talking about catharsis, or else why would he mention pathos? So again, I could bring up Smallville. Smallville's goofy and silly for me, but the average person who watches is like, this is kind of, maybe it's serious. It never gets serious. There are moments of heroism that you can care about, but if you don't get past the goofiness, you're not going to get to there. So it's like you have to accept it. It's like, okay, am I still here? Why? Because there's something I personally care about. If you don't have those hooks, if you don't have, okay, I'm going to watch the next episode, you're never going to get to those better episodes or those scenes with pathos. It's just going to be goofy, fight the freak of the week, and then it repeats again. So context really matters here, and just saying pathos because you might care about this or that scene is so subjective. It's so random. You're like, oh, maybe the audience will like this. It's like, no. Is this scene effective at being emotional? Tell me why. Explain it on paper before you make the damn thing. And who is this for? Because as soon as you know
all I keep hearing in this video is, at this point, is word salad. Pretentious word salad.
He's got the words. He's got the ideas. He's not directing them in a certain way that explains what is the therapy that's causing this release of emotion. It's
in the chat, Kyogre brought up Hell of a Boss as an example, and that is a show that does all of the things he tries to bring up right, because those writers actually care.
When you have a sense of pathos, you feel all kinds of emotions like pity and sadness, and it ties itself with tragedy, and that's why you have. But you could say pathos about anything. Any emotional reaction could be pathos. We see this with arguments. We see the logics or ethos or pathos. There's all these reasons why we believe in something, why we have feelings for something. And if you don't understand that relationship, he's just saying, oh, what does it mean to feel? How do you feel things for fiction? Maybe it's identity. Yeah, maybe. In what scenario? What story? Give me a scene. How about the story where the horseman is drugged? It's like, well, that's more goofy and silly and weird.
It's irrelevant that the horseman is a horseman. The identity of the character is irrelevant. What is relevant is what happens to whom.
What's the consequence of him doing that? Why does it matter to me? Why am I watching this show? Like, why do I watch Animaniacs? I watch Animaniacs. The jokes are mature, they're quick, and they're well done. It's as if someone knows how to write comedy and writes them out.
I wouldn't just say they're quick. I'd rather say because I watched original Animaniacs back to back with this follow up thing that plays 20 years later or something, or 30 years later, and the pacing of the jokes in the original, maybe in your memory it seems fast, but it is actually good pacing. It's not right off from a machine gun. The new Animaniacs is jokes with bad pacing, as if from a machine gun, like joke, and they're not funny. The original Animaniacs, just like the original Looney Tunes, knew how to place jokes, how to build them up, how to execute them. Similar to the slapstick in Tom and Jerry, similar to the comparison between original Looney Tunes and the crap they make today, which is also just quick, joke, right. And they're not funny.
I'm trying to compare that to the comedy of Australia, like What We Do in the Shadows, where they take one joke and they just stretch it out as long as the scene lasts. And it's one.
That's something you can do once, like the vomiting joke in Freakazoid.
Well, if you watch the movie or if you watch the miniseries, they do the same technique. And
yeah, but it's something you can't do all the time.
Well, they do it every show. That's their style.
I know. But Red Letter Media also likes this type of humor. But you can't putting in the number on a telephone, like doot. That normal scene would be done now. They draw it out by then, making a pause for a second, and then going doot. And it goes on for another 20 seconds. Just like the vomiting thing. You can do this once in a while. If you do it all the time, you tire out the audience. Except for those very few people who will always laugh about this.
Yeah, I want an hour of Wisp just doing the dialing sounds.
I can do an hour of typing on my keyboard.
Okay.
Even better.
Anyway,
can you mimic the sound?
Anyone wants to pay me to type an hour on my keyboard?
Well, it's easier to analyze drama and tragedy than it is to analyze comedy. And if he's going to talk about pathos, he really, like, just give me the actual dramatic storytellers or movies or plays and say, these work because the death of a loved one happens right at the end and it's tragic and her life is over and she kills herself as a result. Like, she lost everything. Everyone's unhappy or dead. It's like, holy crap, what a horrible ending. What a Shakespearean tragedy. What a operetta. All these things. Tell me why that works. Don't just say, you like the character and he's doing the thing and it makes you feel bad. It's like, well, no.
He's choking his girlfriend. He's such a shitty person. Like, I don't know. Is that pathos?
No, that's how you spot that this is pseudo-intellectual stuff.
Yeah,
it's just scratching the surface all the time.
It's like he has 14 books of Cole's notes and he just read the first page of each. Oh yeah, this is how it works. You're like, whoa, no.
He just got the cliff notes.
Yeah, he just got the first chapter. I understand stuff. Great. I'm gonna make a movie, a video. It's like, whoa, not quite. You're off a bit. Missing a few steps.
And all the editors were like, "All right, yeah, let's go. It's looking good."
It makes just enough sense. We can make a video. Go, yeah.
Bojack strangling his co-star while in the midst of a drug-addled nervous breakdown, or come face to face with the crushing sadness of Woodhouse's death in Archer, it can catch us completely off guard.
And he had a good long life. He did. For a heroin addict.
The anything-goes, consequence-free antics of our Looney Tunes days suddenly gives way to the absolute reality of what's happening to the characters on screen. And we're forced to accept that the wounds being made won't just be erased and replaced for the next frame. They're here to stay. Every bit is...
Wait. We talk about reality?
I was lost because I was paying attention to chat. I think he just said something stupid.
I'm just confused if he's talking about the wounds on the screen will come back, will still be there tomorrow. I was like, are you talking about the actual characters on the screen? Because in most cases, cartoons, they pop right back. They're fine the next episode. So I lost the if it was an analogy, then he's talking about reality, then fine. Okay.
Can you go back like 10, 15 seconds?
All right.
Just be erased and replaced for the next frame. They're here to stay. Every bit as permanent as the marks we make in real life.
Oh, so he was talking about the cartoon world. Really?
But in most of these cartoons, the horrible things that happen, they are just forgotten in the next scene.
Or the next episode.
Very, 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 very often.
Yeah, so no, sir. That's what episodic storytelling is all about. It just everything's its own individual story. The continuity is like, oh, well, we did that thing in the past. It reminds me of this. And there's really, Star Trek Next Generation stuff. Oh, everyone's older. Troy might be dating Worf now or whatever. It's like, yeah, whatever. Very little difference.
I mean, BoJack maybe, but yeah, they still drop some plot lines.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't really get it. But.
These cartoons are not designed to be continuous in that capacity. Or at least in that strict sense of a plot being followed. It's just crazy scenario, one episode, here's another episode of Rick and Morty going to some dimension, and then it's changed. Maybe they'll reference the previous episode or from season 1, something happened, but that's about it. That nothing is, like Rick or Morty doesn't lose an arm and he's like one-armed man now. No, it never happens. It's always Rick and Morty over again.
Of course, you can always just pull a Rick Sanchez and reject this sort of therapeutic value right out of hand.
I don't think going to a rented office in a strip mall to listen to some agent of averageness explain which words mean which feelings has ever helped anyone do anything. I think it's helped a lot of people get comfortable and stop panicking, which is a state of mind we value in the animals we eat, but not something I want for myself.
But to do so would surely be missing
that his critique of professional therapy is... Stop! What the fuck? Rick's critique of professional therapy actually has some merit because lots of therapy is just bad and just there's no comprehension of the human condition in it because the therapists never got to that level of comprehension themselves. They just learned shit from books and from university. Like it's all theoretical stuff. You can't, and someone like that can't help you who's going through a problem that actually makes you grow. Because you are, in that scenario, you are already mentally and emotionally further developed than your therapist. How is that person who is not as far developed as you supposed to help you get further? That can be possible through a lottery win, but it's unlikely.
All right.
That's why it's hard to find a good one.
I have a minute left. We'll see how long the credits last or whether he's going to sell us some more cereal.
Shows have to offer. We're in the midst of a golden age of adult animation, thanks
We
to
are?
a bunch of shows with
That's
a
not
lot
what
of
happened.
content. And it seems like it's the same stuff that a lot of us are going through too. So maybe we can work through life's
The golden age,
painful
the
aspects
golden
together.
age of adult anime. Why does this pause button not work? So the golden age of adult animation, I would rather put in the West. I would actually put in the 90s.
Why is that a weird version of Voltron?
Yes.
It looks like little toys of Voltron, not actual Voltron.
Well, how else are we supposed to sell toys to kids?
Well, yes, Voltron does look like a toy, but that looks very toy-like. I don't know. It doesn't look. It looks like a baby version of Voltron.
It does actually.
Yeah.
Well, look at all the arms and legs. They're all the same.
Yeah, isn't Voltron the defender of the galaxy? Like, isn't it really super powerful? It looks like a toy. Like, come on.
Can't help you there.
Like that game from Custom Robo.
Wasn't there a Screw Attack episode where Voltron fought the Power Rangers and it crushed them? So
why did he fight the Power Rangers?
Well,
is it for equality?
Well, they took two similar. What they do in Screw Attack is they take two, or Death Battle. They take two similar forces, like Voltron, like they're both toys or machine-like things that combine together to make this giant robot. And they compare the power levels, the skills, and the abilities. It's like, yeah, Voltron would destroy the Power Ranger. Anyway. Doesn't look very menacing on the screen. So maybe
right. Thanks, Cyber, in the chat. Golden age of adult animation while showing Big Mouth.
Yeah.
You're full of shit.
Anyway.
You're so full of shit, it hurts.
Yeah, it's always the 90s. For the 80s, the 90s, when Pixar first came out in the 2000s, that's great stuff. All kinds of good stuff there.
You didn't like Toy Story 4?
I never got that far.
This is why I dropped Rick and Morty later on.
Yeah.
And holy shit, if Mike Tester drops an absurd cartoon, that says it's bad. Then it went bad.
Mike's the guy who watches Ruby and tries to explain why it could still be good. It takes his time.
If Monty Ohm had survived, maybe.
Well, I know nothing about Ruby, and from what I've heard, it's probably not worth knowing. So.
Yes, sadly.
Yeah.
I think it could have developed into something as he and his friends figured out the ropes of animation with Poser, of all things.
Poser?
Yes, Ruby was made with Poser.
How?
Yes, I know.
What do you do, export BMPs all day?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Kudos for that. Like that's an achievement for fuck's sake.
Poser 3D. Holy shit. All right.
Yeah. Wow. But yeah, he was getting. They were getting the ropes of it, and then Ohm died, and Rooster Teeth sunk its corporate ideological teeth deeper into it, and then it was just done. Like the moment Ohm was out of the way, his creation was massacred completely. Because it would have gone into a way more straight Western anime variant. It would have been played way more straight. Yeah, well, there you go.
All right.
Whenever these people get a hold of someone else's ideas, it turns to crap. Because all they can come up themselves is crap like Big Mouth. And nobody with a shred of sanity left wants to watch that.
Anyway, 1 minute left. Let's get this over with.
Few badass action sequences, bizarre musical numbers, and outlandish sight gags thrown in to let us have some fun along the way. But what do you guys think? Why do shows like BoJack Horseman seem to f*** us up so much more than shows which don't include asexual axolotls?
Wait a second. Wait.
Axolotls are not asexual.
That's not
if
the
that
topic.
Has that kind of character in it, you're an idiot.
Why would you bring a show up like BoJack and say it's therapy and then say now it F's you up? That's not
fucks you up because it tells you bullshit like characters being asexual.
That's like saying if you go to therapy or if you have a cure to an ailment, it'll mess you up. You're like, wait a second, that's not what I want. I want the opposite of what you just said. Why would you recommend it?
It doesn't cure or mess you up. That's what I don't understand.
It's just a show.
Yeah. Get a therapist.
What is wrong with this guy? Make a video on topic. Holy shit.
He's an idiot.
Okay.
Yeah, they have an asexual character.
He's an actual man.
They make fun of it.
This is a bizarre. What a bizarre ending to this silly conglomerate of ideas. It's just like, dude, focus your topic. Can't be that hard.
It's a roller coaster. You're feeling high and down. It's just a series of emotions you just can't understand or process. But it's great therapy.
What?
You got me. I don't know.
All right. Okay. Let's go to stream memes. This is.
You got a super chat.
Oh, okay. Let me go to the super chat. John Doe, the average Joe, how's it going? He is seeing the Fool's Gold era of animation here. I don't know. I don't know what you call.
I think that's put very well.
I don't know what you would call the past 10 years of animation. I really don't.
I think Fool's Gold is a good description.
Well, there were some good ones you could say with Disney and Pixar usually.
Yeah, the era is defined by the mass of the stuff.
Oh, the
brick. It's not like the 80s where we had all the cool new franchise action things. All the action horror movies that came out that time that defined Western culture at large, if you will. This is just what's coming out now. It's just all horrible, and then if you're lucky, you have a gem in a decade.
All right, back to stream memes. Billy, what have you done? And it looks like Billy shot some kid. The kid's saying, I watch films for the story. Also, I don't get Lord of the Rings. Put him down. Oh, that was from our previous video.
Yeah.
That was a very confused person.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was trans. He just didn't have a haircut and didn't do anything with his hair. So, anyway. Oh, look at that. I understand Goblin Slayer. It's just extreme schlock. According to this, you're a heretic. Oh, boy. Yes, that was the argument. It's just sensational. It's all just the, what's the term? The spectacle. Oh. All right. Here's today. Is it today? Yes, today, December 3rd. You know, cigarettes for the kids. There's Flintstones Winston cigarettes commercial. Oh, my. Okay. That was a thing. And that's it. We got Wisp screen capping this guy.
Oh, my God. That's a great pick.
Yeah. Anyway, that's enough for Wisecrack for one month.
This is sad.
Maybe forever, because this is just pointless.
Well, if it keeps doing crap like this, yeah, maybe. But they're probably going to do a take on the new Cowboy Bebop eventually. I'll see what they have to say about that.
Why?
Well, even I have to make a video on that because I have some thoughts, and I haven't even watched the show. I've seen some clips already, and I'm already so.
Do you get a high school diploma with this level of intellect?
You can do a general education exam and probably pass it with this.
That's sad. That's a very low standard.
Yeah, I think that's what this is. It's been reduced to that. Like there's other episodes, there's other shows.
I mean, that's the problem. Finishing school is one thing, but high school should have a higher standard.
Oh yeah, I think high school is what you need to do to finish. Like you have to pass high school, regardless, wherever you go, wherever you come.
If you can't pass high school, don't get jobs like this.
At least read all of the book that you read about Aristotle's poetics. Like, read the whole chapter, please, and actually understand it. Don't just read it and say I read it. Say what'd you get out of it? Like, what happened?
Also, if you have a bit of a freer mind, because it's a bit drier, read Aristoteles' Rhetoric, because then you don't make mistakes like he did.
Well, that's asking a bit too much, I think.
Or fall for all the socialist fallacies that they bring up constantly.
Oh, don't even bother.
It's like listening to all these creationist fundamentalist Christians. It's the same thing.
Anyway, that was Wisecrack. Definitely not what I enjoyed back in the day, and sadly, probably never going to come back to what it used to be. So, thank you for tuning in on this Friday. It's been nice. This was not an offensive video. This was just like, oh, that's silly. That's kind of weird. That's dumb. That was it. It didn't drive us nuts. Usually Fridays we pull our hair out, but now this is okay. This is good. This is all right. So thank you guys for tuning in.
It was great therapy.
This actually was kind of therapeutic, believe it or not, for me, because I had a stressful day. I relaxed. I watched a dumb video. Felt good. So there you go.
Well, good for you then.
Yeah.
We got catharsis.
No, I didn't have catharsis.
Only Smut got any shred of it, maybe.
Oh boy. Anyway, thank you, folks. We'll talk to you real soon. Get the suggestions coming as always, and we'll talk to you later. Bye now.
Bye.
Take care, Aristotle.